Thank you. We're going to start the meeting for Tuesday, May 19th at 5 p.m. I call the order for roll call, for the board of directors.
Michael Cornelia.
Stephanie Bowlesley.
Glenn Beer.
Jim Moore.
Julie Fall, all are in attendance. Is there any conflict of interest with any of the board members?
Michael Cornelia, no.
Stephanie Bowlesley, no.
Glenn Beer, no.
Jim Moore, no.
Julie Fall, no. Does everybody have their mic on? Just double checking. General public, we will allow 5 minutes per speaker. Please state your name and address before speaking in the event any individual or organization would like an item on the agenda. Please contact the staff Thursday before the meeting. You will be asked for public comment if you raise your hand or say that you'd like to speak. Is there anybody online that would like to make a comment, a general comment? No? In the room?
Is this for general comments? I'm sorry.
Yes, it is. Caleb, can you please state your name and your address, please?
I'm inside the district. I'm on Pine Valley. I spoke with Daryl today about there's an increasing number of dangerous drivers, and I'm wondering if we're going to be reinstalling the speed bumps that were available last year.
There's not been a formal plan put together on where people are going to go. We're kind of waiting to see what came from the road safety committee. But we do intend on deploying those people. Yes.
Yeah. Is there a request form that I can fill out to put some in front of my house?
You can contact the Corey and let him know that you're interested in that.
You know how to get to my email address, or do you want it right now?
No, I know who you are, Corey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else online? Have a general comment? No? Okay. Robin?
Robin Kinslow, 240 Red Drive, April. Anyway, I wanted to say thanks because Roy was here and he was suggesting the idea of purchasing properties or whatever, and in so doing, that made me also look and on the GIS and didn't fully see like encroachment on the property, and I wasn't sure if it was just all of 407 there across his way there and 409 or what. But the grooming of the getting the survey done and stuff, he went back there and he cleaned up his property, and fire mitigation, it looks good. It's gone. All the trees are gone, all the scrub oak's gone. So the fire mitigation that he was concerned about, he took care of as soon as he knew where his property lines were. So great job on getting that done for him. I appreciate that. I guess he'll be happy about the fire mitigation thing. But I would also, I wasn't sure if the encroachment also include 409, because I could see it go like, it looked like it went all the way across to 407, but possibly 409 too, by the driveway there. That's a narrow area, this big driveway area. He's had his boat there and all this lake and stuff. So anyway, I can't tell on the GIS. I've heard that's not fact, that surveys are what you have to do. So didn't know if maybe you were going to do 409 as well, or 407 and 409, I guess, because his is done. I mean, now I know my property lines are too with him, but which is good. It's nice. But anyway, I wasn't sure if maybe that was gonna be a follow-up too, and what we're gonna do, like. With encroachments.
I'm gonna ask a question about that, were there?
That was the next question.
I had, so instead of surveying our property, because it would have been $2,500, I had a surveyor come out and mark the property corners of Roy's property for $500. It Roy is encroaching onto the neighboring lot, which is being dealt with right now with legal writing up a letter.
That 407 and 409.
I don't know if lot maybe.
407 is right next to me and Boyd.
Like along the Carlson Drive?
Yes,
Okay.
no,
Oh.
that's 409, that's next to the Crossing Drive. You know where the turkey and stuff
On the
is,
back
that's
side.
408.
On the east side.
Yeah, it's just by the driveway, it's just.
Oh, thank you.
Big corner on
Okay.
107.
So they both go up along Carlson Drive?
No, they both actually go,
Oh, thanks.
the Little Bear Drive.
Yeah, there's a. Then
Oh,
it
I
goes
see.
To the drive. to the
And then
drive.
there's another
Yeah.
lot
Or
that's
shared
on
drive.
both sides
Yeah,
of Carlson
407.
Drive. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, so there's another one
Okay.
over there, that's where he's got that turkey.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
see there's
it's
two
there.
little legs up there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was that guy here.
Good, thank you.
Okay,
Those are district lots, right?
Yes.
Whose responsibility would it be to enforce or choose not to enforce somebody using them? And what risks are there in not enforcing it?
Currently I'm receiving legal guidance before, I will send probably an email to President, Vice President with see which direction they want me to go. If it comes into, if the board as a whole wants to grant him access or boundary adjustment or something like that, depending on what guidance I get from legal counsel to bring to you guys, is how that will. The board will then make the decision on the property. I'm getting legal guidance before I approach everything with the board, so I can inform you to the best of my ability, not give you a recommendation without some backing.
I think the real concern is, maybe the only concern is, how long can someone encroach before they gain rights to the property they're encroaching upon? Beyond that, whether we let him park a boat there or something is kind of an ad hoc decision.
I believe for a prescriptive easement is 7 years.
No, it's like
18. Oh, sorry.
But any break in that 18 years would reset the clock as well, right? Didn't you already do any plans? You said, or you just let them? Do you know if you're looking at that? I think.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to hear back.
You're investigating it.
I'm still waiting to hear back from Paul.
Gotcha.
okay. Thank you, Robin. Anybody else online? No. Do you have any comments? General comments? Okay. Let's move on to approving the agenda for this meeting. Yeah,
I make a motion to approve the agenda, and this is kind of spurious, with one amendment, and that would be to put this guy up and let him get out of here. He's on the agenda, right? Is there any objection to letting him do his business?
So, Mr. Messman is 5D currently.
Yeah, we can go to mark the 5 later.
sure.
I have no problem with that.
Or if you prefer, we can run before the manager or the staff report.
And those aren't gonna take that long.
Okay.
I would say just leave it in the same.
Yeah, we're not gonna have Mark and Daryl here anyway.
All right, I withdraw my amendment and just I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
You have to make a motion to move it. Or approve it with it.
We're gonna,
You are going to move it. Okay.
well, that's up to
Yeah.
the board, or we move from 5B to 5A.
This is what I'll second the moving from 5D to 5A.
Okay,
Yeah.
So- who motioned the first?
Yeah.
Jen.
Yeah.
To move, okay.
And then second.
So with that change, we're approving the agenda for today, Tuesday, May 19th. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Unanimous. Approval of the previous meeting minutes. I have a change. I don't know if anybody else does. On page, under page 3B. There's page. Six. Read it. And the first page starts with old covenants from the POA era. Page 6. 1, 2, 3. The fourth bullet point down says if the sale proceeds, it should go through a standard open market process. Prior requesters notified and given right of first refusal. That was not said in the meeting. And I went back to the minutes and listened, and that's at 44 minutes. So that prior requesters notified and given first right of refusal needs to be removed.
It was said,
I think it was an opinion.
it was said.
Yeah, I remember it being said that it was an opinion.
That was her opinion.
Yeah, so we need to clarify it was an
It was
opinion.
also,
But the board members did not say that.
It
Right.
was Stephanie's idea as well.
So I'm reading that. Because I also said it would have to go through the standard market.
Correct.
That's not in here either.
It's the very first line. If sale proceeds, it should go through a standard open market process.
Okay. I just don't want this to be construed that
But this-
we are going to give first right of refusal notification to anything that on it.
Yeah, I agree, because that's, like, it was brought up as an opinion, so I don't. Is the point of the minutes to, it's not a decision, it's what we're talking about, correct? So it's not a legally binding statement.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I am fine with adding more context to prior requesters notified and given first right of refusal. But I think both sides of those opinions need to be stated in the minutes. So if y'all want to edit that sentence to show more context to that it's both opinions, I'm fine with that, but I don't think that we can scratch one side without scratching the other side. Either don't call out either opinion or put more context so it's doesn't read factual, it was opinion.
Maybe even just the word opinion in parentheses or something with that one. Did you find? I think that adds a kind of a easy point.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and certainly we're not gonna make any of those decisions. Because we haven't- that's not something that's possible.
Right.
Okay, so just adding the opinion in parentheses.
Perfect. Okay.
That was all I had. So. Okay, back to approval of the previous minutes with the change of adding. I think.
I have one that I sent to Barb, so I don't know if it's in your version or not. And that is that the lots in question should be identified by lot number for all of these sales. And I think that's a pretty serious omission.
Yes, and
I would say in addition to like the lot number, I think we should be the parcel number.
Okay.
I mean, just in the future. I don't know that it's-
so when Barb and I went back and reviewed the video, Mr. Westbrook never called the lots by lot number. Robin was the first one who said, we're speaking of lots 407, 408, and 409. That's the reason it's not reflected in Roy's kind of section, but is reflected in Robin's kind of rebuttal. So I'm fine with going whichever direction y'all want to go there, but that's the reason it's not reflected in Roy's.
That makes sense. I think contextually it belongs in Westbrook's request.
Okay,
So we know where we're talking about, basically.
Yeah, it comes first. So.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
yes,
It's just that, you know, as you're going down through these minutes, you go, what are they talking about? And you don't know that down the line, there's a reference back to, you know, it should be clear from the get-go.
so how about where it currently says in parentheses, lots behind Little Bear? I changed that to lots 407 and the parcel number. Do you want the parcel number
I
noted or
would
just?
put the lot number for that case. I mean, if we get to the point where we're having to discuss seriously about selling, we want to have all that detail.
Okay,
Thank you.
Where is that?
it's 3B at the very beginning of 3B. In parentheses in blue, it says lots behind the Little Bear, and I will change that to lots 407 and 408. 407 and 409.
Yes. Didn't, and I'm actually didn't, I noticed that, but I thought we added that to the agenda. We not, I don't see it in the agenda item reflected in the part where we talked about that in full.
Yes, sir, we did. If you flip 3 pages past that under point 6, board action and discussion. Oh, 3B is where we actually added it. I'm sorry. If you go to the public comment, you see Mr. Westbrook's comment, and then you see where we said it would be added to the agenda, and we added it as item 3B.
Are you talking about the old agenda? Previous minute.
Yes. So first page of previous minutes under public comment, you see Roy Westbrook, 194 Little Bear. And this is where he first brings it. And then under the approval of the agenda, we motion to approve the April 21st, 2026 agenda as amended to add Roy Westbrook's property purchase request as special business item 3B.
My comment was then where is that in the agenda? Wouldn't that be another board action and discussion and that all the agenda items? Or where it's not?
We added it under special business 3B.
Okay, but that's, okay, yeah, sorry, I was thinking of these other places. That's fine. That makes sense. But yeah, the other one, but yes, you know,
Yes.
okay. Apologies for the same
No,
thing.
I'm right up on it, but I don't see that anywhere. The 3B.
Well, it's under the agenda approval. But he said, and then we got, but not in the. They applied to.
So you're gonna add that to,
Yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, I will take off lots behind Little Bear Drive and put lots 407 and 409.
Yeah, like new format.
nice.
Really good job.
Okay, so we've had motions to approve, yes, on the financial.
We did move on that.
Yeah.
We're gonna vote on it.
Sorry. we got-
With the
Okay,
amendments.
approval of the previous minutes, April 21st with the strike. Little Bear removing lots behind and adding the lot numbers 407, 409, adding opinion, with Ruby also. Any motion?
With the approval of the previous minutes with the alterations that were already added. Yeah. This is Michael, sorry. Make a motion.
Was this the Stephanie second? We have to, I guess that's the other.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Financial action?
I make a motion to approve the April 2026 disbursements of $161,911.77.
This is Juliet, I second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Any questions on any of the financials before? I'm finally starting to understand the summary. Thank you. Taking a while. Scrutinizing, now looking for what Shauna had mentioned and so much easier. Thank you, Shauna. You're welcome. Okay, staff report?
Okay, couple things I wanna touch on, we're still working on getting the diet plans straightened out with our water engineer, and we now have all the legal teams involved in that. What the state's trying to tell us we should be doing, we don't legally have the authority to tell property that not even in our district that they can't be watering, so we're working on getting that taken care of. We had a meeting on Friday, and they have our preliminary drought map, and we've got to do some more treatment of the guidelines. And once they get that, so we'll send that to the state and see what the state say back on that. This has been a nightmare to get sorted out, but it's coming to an end finally. Another thing, the Forest Service is wanting to do some work on their land. And a little bit more, they call it whitening on either that road, or they're gonna be potentially using our road as like the boundary line and go from more to the lower ground vegetation, not trees and things but like the oak brush and burn all that and the down limbs that are falling out of the tree. So that's what those two maps are that are in the packet. We're planning on just doing some ground clearing here, and then we're doing a lot of work in their area. They were out there today, we had a meeting, they're still marking where they're gonna be working, so we don't have an actual map of what they're doing yet, or the entire scope of the work. I would like to ask the board if the board feels okay with it, if once we get all that stipulated, we can get a contract signed, I can sign the contract, we're gonna be able to work on private property. But still present, come back to the board with planning what they plan on doing. And we're not looking at getting the work done until 2027, but they have the plan in place before that. You know, that
When are you gonna have a sunset time?
they want to have it done before. They won't have it done by the contract, everything final, so they're planning out their work for next year. This would be early 2027 when they're using our property and the access to it.
I just wanna make sure that we're involved, because of what happened at the other one, with fire department, maybe we get through it. You're kind of overseeing all that, kind of like law.
More heavily involved in it.
Do we have any idea how their operating plan is?
Fire, they're gonna be burning very under the.
So, yeah, I guess the other part of that, but I think if you.
But I don't know entirely what their scope of work is yet, it's still is being developed by them, that doesn't come to you with the contract.
Okay. I think what I was going to comment was, I do think it's going to be pretty imperative that we keep, the residents aware. Especially if they are going to be taking by burning, and I get maybe wanting to do that, over the winter, but like last winter. You know, and that would be lots of smoke pollution for everybody. And all of that.
And that's kind of the concerns that I did express on, like, with the constant communication on this, with residents and the districts.
And otherwise, I do think getting some of the other stores done is a great idea.
The board okay with that? Or to the contract, or the board want to see that contract?
Work through it.
Yeah, I think I would like it, see it before it's implemented, I think that would be a good idea.
The direction.
Or what they're trying to get some clarification. Don't sign it until the board rewrite the contract?
Correct. That's my thought.
Good. Yeah.
I'm speaking for myself, yeah.
And it's not because we aren't thinking of anything but you, we just wanna make sure we're covered because of that last.
Is this the group that's also hauling wood out of here?
No, that, and that's a totally probably different project. The Grassy Mountain project is the state, BLM and Forest Service working together. This is a separate project outside of that. And then, that thing I kind of want to touch on is, unit 3, I'm working on a letter to send out to unit 3 that I've sent to Julie and then to kind of review and make suggestions for grammar edits or anything like that to it. Well, what this letter is asking is if the property owner of unit 3 would be interested in forming what's called a special improvement district. And what that is, it's, you take a chunk out of our district, unit 3, and they go through the whole process of essentially creating a special district within a special district. Well, what that's gonna allow us to do is either institute a fee for unit 3 property owners, or it'll be assessed to the property tax. The reason why I want to send this letter out is one that's gonna judge if there has to be a ballot measure, because if one person says no, then we have to go vote. If that's 100% consensus for the property owners, unit three property owners, and then they come to the road. Then it comes down to that, it being a board decision of whether the board wants to proceed with, to go down the field, you have to have a financial analysis done. There's a bunch of planning that goes behind this before it even needs to come to a vote for the board. Okay.
So we'll have to put on costs of
Yeah, instead of spending,
road and like that.
instead of spending a bunch of money up front, we're doing a preliminary test of water to see if it's even a viable solution for it. I'm pretty sure we're not gonna get 100% consensus, but if we get 60% of the property owners that are in favor for it, then it's worth, well, putting it on a ballot. If we get 70% that say no, there's no sense in putting it on a ballot because no on a ballot and there's no cost on it.
Would that alleviate liability? Would it give them?
Wouldn't alleviate liability, what it does is give the district a financial tool to start building up those funds to develop that.
Would it create its own little building codes that would allow landowners to develop somewhat? Or is that a totally different?
Well, all a special improvement district does is a financial tool to develop it. It's still.
From our standpoint,
From our standpoint,
Growers.
it's still, the land use code and all that still applies within this district and all that stuff. All it does is give us a way of funding or being able to finance big projects in the future that we currently can't.
And where does the money come from?
It will slowly come from the property owners.
Okay.
Don't they have a special improvement district? Don't they have certain in right? Because they're not necessarily under Forest Lake.
No, they still do this way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just forming a special improvement district for our district, so like, say if we didn't snowplow, right, we didn't have capability of snowplowing, they could form a special improvement district that would add on to this, who would pay for snowplowing. So, for buying our own equipment, do our own snowplowing.
it allows us, my understanding, it allows us to put PE or special tax on unit three. You pay for the improvements in unit three. If once we have that in development and processing, we can then get a 40 to 50-year loan to do the $50 million plus in cost that would take to do up there. But you have to have a huge structure to pay for it. And since they only contribute, I think it was $16,000 a year in property taxes.
It's about 26,000.
26,000. That's not enough to pay for the improvements needed out there. So either the entire Forest Lakes would need to absorb the impact, or if the special improvement district allows it to be assigned to just for that.
Yeah, so it is more people that will be paying for the special improvement district would be the property that directly benefited from what was happening.
One thing that county had mentioned to us was even if we could get water up there, they might not approve septic tanks up there for that.
They don't have any force.
Yeah.
Over the land use code. The land use code says it has to be an acre flat. Every lot up to -5 is the acre flat. And there's a variance that can be granted to the fire lot.
And they also, their map, Aaron, that they were referencing, said everyone was at that quarter acre map. Yeah. So it's the things they were referencing and making that were incorrect.
And the Paul County GIs, but I pulled every lot before the people first meeting, put all the numbers out before and everything was, and it just.
Because one thing I had asked somebody is why can't they have water system and septic?
Yeah.
And they said, look, you can't have people living up there if you can't on site. You've got to get the water up there with the fire.
It's too heavily populated to do any, so we run our system.
Excuse me, we can't hear your audio from any of you very well. Could you all like be closer to the microphone? We
Yeah.
just can't hear and
Out on the system.
Is that better?
yes, that's much better. Thank you.
This wasn't going to interrupt.
Oh, well, I apologize about that. Apparently because I'm logging in Asana, so my defaults didn't switch over.
Thank you, Liz. Okay, any other questions for Unit 3 from Corey? Regarding Unit 3.
In summary, you're going to ask them, the landowners in Unit 3, if they would be willing to shoulder this burden.
Yes.
Short term and long term. You said a 50-year loan. We have some noisy residents up there, but how about, is it McKenna, the guy who has the construction and excavation company?
McCarty excavation.
What is your idea of how McCarty might respond?
I don't see how he's one of the major landowners up there. I can't speak for him, honestly. I would like to think this would be a good idea.
An advantage to him.
From the conversations I had with Chief Evans, it sounded like Chief Evans is already kind of was speaking to McCarty about this, and he's from judging off of Chief Evans, I think he's in favor for it.
Well, good luck with this letter. It should be a really good letter.
It's
Now, my question is, and I brought it up to Lynn and Corey, we have a difference of opinion on it. I feel that we need to see the letter before it goes out because we want to make sure that we do this with all the information to ensure that we get as much buy-in as possible. Corey and Lynn kind of disagree with me. I don't know how anybody else feels.
I didn't disagree with you. I agreed that he should let us know and proceed. It shouldn't be an asking permission, is my view.
Oh, not permission.
Yeah, he would send it, and he repeatedly said he would send it to the whole board. Say, hey, I'm sending this tomorrow when he's ready for it to go out. Because we've given him that permission to do it. We just asked previously to be notified before he reaches out for the major community engagement things. Like, I think that's our disagreement is, my perception was, Corey has the right to ask the residents whatever. I would like a heads up. I don't have to give him permission. And because he's repeated, he said multiple times that he would send out the letter to the whole board just as a, hey, I'm sending this out.
Yeah, an FYI.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and that was
Because we may get responses from it.
The
Yeah,
speed bump
yeah.
survey was where that came about, I thought.
Well, yeah, because Jim made a very valid point. He was kind of blindsided by a survey I sent out. I'm like, yeah, and in retrospect, I should have said, hey, board, I'm sending out the survey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So was your plan on this all along.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
would like this kind of input, this is going to be a very important letter. And persuasiveness is going to be one of the most important components of it. I'd be happy to review it. I think anybody would,
happy to review it and simply respond to you and say, how does this hit me? Would it persuade me if I lived there?
Well, and that's why I sent it to Julie and Lynn for them to review it and give me their recommendations. I don't want to send the letter to the more than two or the board members, because then we start getting into sunshine laws and quorum stuff.
Makes sense.
That's why I did those two.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it going out. I'm just so concerned about exactly what Jim said. We've got to persuade. We've got to make sure that everything is in there. And if we miss something, that could stop the whole thing.
And the reason why we're doing this, because we're not making a decision right now.
Right.
And that needs to be perfectly clear. This letter is not making a decision. This letter is strictly reaching out and getting the feelers of the property owners in Unit 3. To even see if it's worthwhile to pursue this avenue any further. Because if it's a straight up no from 90% of them, that it's not even going to pass a ballot measure. So there's no point in going down that avenue anymore.
How are you going to collect responses? Just curious.
Well, I was probably gonna send these envelopes with a return thing, or please email me this, or
Just curious.
not to that point
This
yet.
is a tough job. I wish you luck.
We're not to that. I'm not to that point yet.
So what is your timing on sending these? Next month, July,
Well,
August?
depending on how the rest of this goes, the letter is still of importance, and it's not my main priority at this moment.
Okay. Check out.
There's some other more important legal matters that I'm dealing with that is not on my forefront.
All right, fair enough.
Are you done with your?
Yeah, that's it from him. Sorry.
Well, I was just, so there's one thing you didn't touch on that is annotated here, right at your hands right now.
Oh, yep, sorry.
Is that do you want to discuss it or?
Yeah, no, let's discuss that. I'm glad you brought that up because I totally skipped over that. Daryl and I have been talking about, well, Daryl approached me, restricting contractors from dumping at our slash pile. He's had a couple instances where he's followed contractors in from Bayfield with full trailer loads and pulling into our area and dumping.
Non-residents.
Non-residents.
But have a fob somehow.
I think
They might be residents.
the contractors are residents, but
Yeah.
clearly not doing work in Forest Lakes.
If they're doing work elsewhere and
They're
bringing
doing
it back.
that. So, I figured I would get the fillers from the board on what they felt about restricting contractors from going there. It's not every contractor is abusing it, but it's clear that there are some.
Do we have a rule in place that says they're not allowed to? And like our usage?
I know back in, well, like Keith was here, contractors weren't allowed to dump in there at all.
Yeah, and
I don't know that there's an actual established rule.
if we don't have an established rule, I think that would be, I would agree. I think we need to make one. I don't think they should, my view, but I would just make sure we have a rule in place. So if we don't, they're going to get through the technical loophole of you don't say I can't. So, but I think having it limited to household stuff is a reasonable thing. And that's the intent of what our transfer, because there's the transfer stations, there's other places, there's other dumps that can take stuff.
What's the website say? And
Well, essentially, these contractors are making money off of our back.
Yeah.
yeah, and what about people in Forest Lake that are doing reconstruction on their house or building a house and they are part of our community? Are we going to exclude them as
Well,
well?
they're not allowed to take construction material there. That's in
Well,
our
I think
rules.
talking about when they cut down trees.
Oh, yeah, I think they should be able to, but that's from Forest Lakes.
And their contractors should be able to take stuff from their parcel down to the slash pile, but it, you know, when you start hauling it in from, Bayfield proper, it's. The problem though is how do we track that?
Yeah.
I don't think contractors, they own a business. They charge somebody to disperse of all that slash.
Yep.
And then they're coming over here and using it for free. So I don't think contractors, regardless of whose their job they're on, if they're an outside contractor, they should not be using our slash, regardless of if it's a residence property.
Okay.
I totally disagree. There's a reason that we've been having the fire mitigation the past 2 summers, the fair. The contractors are actually doing residents' work for them. That's the reason, like, they're doing the work in Forest Lakes. It is Forest Lakes material. My question, so that's one point, is I feel like they're doing it for the residents. So there should be an exception, because either it wouldn't be done or the residents would be doing the hauling themselves anyway. And that same material would come down to the slash pile anyway, no matter who's hauling it. And we're trying to incentivize and support fire mitigation throughout the neighborhood. And then the second thing is could this potentially be an income source for the district, that if we go the route of saying, no, you can't at all, even if it's a residence material done by a contractor in Forest Lakes, could potentially this be an income source for the district where we permit those contractors to bring slash down at half a rate of whatever they would pay elsewhere, but it brings money in to us. So
That's a good thought.
Yeah, I like that for.
Again, we're trying to incentivize fire mitigation. The residents aren't able to do it themselves, so they hire a dove. If we tell the contractors they can't bring it down, even though the contractor and the resident live in Forest Lakes, we're disincentivizing fire mitigation. If we disincentivize it, can we still give them an avenue to contract through us? So, my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have the manpower to manage that?
No.
That's a lot of slash.
And I think that's where Daryl was coming from when he approached Corey. It's a lot.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I mean,
Well, we were also down an employee for a
yeah,
minute too.
yeah.
Yeah, but right now you got 2 slash piles.
It's not exactly a good time to be doing controlled burns anywhere for any reason. So, you know, I see it's piling up. But
I'm just, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done. I apologize.
get the fire department to come over and do practice runs on there and pay them out of the fees you're talking about might mitigate some of the challenge to that. I've done that personally. The fire department to come over and just do a training exercise to burn a barn for me.
Well, and they help us out with when they got training and stuff to do.
Yeah, I was
Kind of going into the weeds, but it's,
well, I was just kind of going along that line though. By all the fire mitigation, it benefits the fire department as well, right? So they're not going to have to be. So can we make some agreement with them that they do just burn the slash rather than it being solely on us, because it's benefiting not only Forest Lakes but the fire department?
And Paul reaches out when they have like training they need to do. Hey, we need some training or whatever. We'll burn half that slash pile for you guys, and we'll separate it and push it where they want.
Okay.
So we don't necessarily have an agreement, but that does happen.
And he has mentioned before that that's only if they have time to get to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a
Yeah, it's not a.
Mm-mm.
And to add, like, I don't feel like these fire mitigation companies should be bringing slash from Bayfield for any reason into our slash area. So
Sure.
just want to make that clear.
Yeah. Maybe that's something that there's fire mitigation grant money that we could, if we're going to be doing the burning, that then it could come into Forest Lakes rather than someplace else. I don't know if that thing sort of grant money exists or not, but it is part of wildfire mitigation. Maybe something to ask about.
Someone asked about enforcement, and I know time is time no matter what. Somebody has to do this, but the fobs ping a data collector, right? Or is it just, it's just the gate recognizes the fob and it ends there?
And it ends there.
Okay, never mind.
I mean, don't, correct me if I'm wrong, we have a camera at the entrance. We also, I'm trying to think of how could you enforce it. I think, yeah, we would probably need a different fob system, which we've talked about needing anyways, but I wonder if we can charge a fee to the contractors to where we get enough to fund that type of thing, it would become easier to track over time. You could potentially hire another person or half person to do more of the burning and focus more on that. So it's not a last come thing. It could be more of a focus if there's enough contractors around who would pay for the ability to do that.
Okay. So sounds like you guys want me to put a fee structure together for this, or to bring to the board, or what's the board want me to do?
I'm against it because people are going to pay, contractors are going to charge, people are still going to pay. Contractors are going to haul it away.
But it all pay.
They might charge less is the logic.
Yeah. I mean, can we get a feedback from the person that's maybe doing that?
I was about to say CCFM is all.
Yeah, I think that would be good feedback to hear from them. They're doing mitigation.
Coronado, thank you.
Hi guys, good evening. I kind of was taking some notes along in the conversation. The first thing I'd like to say is I would like to urge the board to continue the conversation on this topic before we cancel it. We have chatted with Daryl about setting a time to discuss some solutions that we have in mind that might be a good option. And I wanted to clarify, I can't speak for other contractors, but I can speak for my company. And gosh, probably 7 years ago, 7 years ago, at the previous Metro manager, we did have an agreement in place to use the slash pile as a contractor for the residents of Forest Lakes. That being said, at the pile, we would just provide the client's name, what their address was, and there was discussion of not double charging. So to Corey's comment earlier of making money off of y'all's back, that hasn't been the case, at least for our company. The only time that we generally charge for slash is if we're mobilizing a wood chipper or if we're using fuel for a skid steer to load slash. But we don't charge them like a premium price to make money off of the slash pile. But I just wanted to make that known that our company specifically, we did have a written agreement with the Metro District to use it that did outline several rules that we would abide by in using that pile. So it is kind of a challenge there whenever we get to this point. And then the other issue that we've seen with slash management and clients trying to mitigate is the challenges that they're up against with insurance companies as well. So before we could chip and broadcast back onto the forest floor. However, insurance companies, their write-ups are now requiring no needles within 100 feet of the structure. And so with that, yeah, we do chip into trailer and we can haul it to any others that might need the chips. But there are challenges with that too, just with access and whatnot. And that's an issue for us, not for you guys. But I just wanted to put that out there is that is a known challenge now with that. A lot of the clients that we're working for are elderly or incapable to do this work on their own. So we definitely, our company, do our best to try to help however we can. A lot of the work being done is through mitigation grants or for insurance requirements. So in most cases, there is a lot of trees coming down that are really bushy, a lot of branches. So I'm not going to deny that there's a lot of material because there is. And I do see to the Metro District's point of like, hey, let's find other solutions so that this is still workable for everybody in the subdivision. In addition to that, one of the board members had mentioned earlier in the conversation, the material is still going to make it down there, whether it's contractors bringing it or not. For example, we had a couple of neighbors doing work on their own, and it took them about 5 days, but it was equated to the amount that we would bring down in our trailer. Just a slower process, but it came down in about 5 days, the same amount of material, just in more loads than one. In addition to that, a lot of our neighbors surrounding us hire handymans that aren't contractors to haul off their needles. And these are big piles of needles, not like small bags of needles. So, regardless, it's going to be a lot of material coming down, contractors or not. So I just wanted to kind of put those points out there, but mostly just urge the board to continue the conversation. We'd like the opportunity to speak with Daryl about it a little bit to give him the solutions that we have in mind to make it workable, or at least provide those suggestions. And then perhaps him and Daryl can bring that back to you all.
Thank you.
Good points.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
one other thing I'm just thinking about is, you know, we're going, if with, I understand we have a lot of trees in Forest Lakes for the reason that it's Forest Lakes, but eventually we are going to get a place where everybody's doing fire mitigation, that we are going to have a large decrease in the number of trees that need to come out. I don't know if it's something we can say, okay, here's a 10-year plan, and you know, just formulate funding knowing that we're going to be in the situation for 10 years. Again, is there a grant available? Can we fund it some way? Just some things to think about.
So I don't know if the board wishes to keep talking about this, but if that's the case, I might make the recommendation that we actually make this an agenda item for
Okay.
next month's meeting, so we can have a more in-depth conversation.
I think that's a great idea.
Sure.
And then I can, we'll decide if you guys want me to move forward with changing the policy and all that at such and such date, or you guys want me to kind of have something prepared for that.
Probably something that you're proposing, I would say.
Yeah, and
So,
you know, might have, after Daryl and CCFM have some time to talk to, that might help to formulate some additional plans.
All right. Yeah. So we'll make that an agenda item for
June.
next month.
okay.
I think one piece I would like is what's the amount? Like, how is it? A couple of like estimates. I know you're not going to know exactly, but if Daryl's seeing people doing it, he's aware of. I would assume the rough. In like, how many is it? Especially the ones coming from Bayfield.
Okay.
Did you want to hit on this SRF funding? I would like just a little more.
You want me to go see who that is?
I would assume they're coming. Yeah, they're coming back, I think.
Hey, it's Roy. The SRF from the state revolving fund.
Yeah.
The survey, so you have to do what's called an eligibility survey to be able to apply for the state revolving fund. Apparently that hasn't been done for quite some time, so got the email like a week ago, and we have 2 months to get it done. So I'm currently working with Mark and Catherine to kind of get all of the water and wastewater capital improvement plan done with as far out as we can get, because they want like 40 years of capital improvement plans, which the plan I built was only up to 10 years. So once we get that done, deny.
It didn't pop up on mine, so.
T's note taker. Oh, I think that's you. This is Google.
Yeah,
Yeah.
AI agent.
I
Allowed?
think.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a new one for me. But once we get to 35 to 40 years in this capital improvement plan, we can finish filling up the survey. We have about 2 months to get it completed, and then we'll get a letter from them saying that we're good to go. We can apply for state revolving fund, but they want to know what the project is and the impact it's going to have, and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Okay.
So currently, even if we wanted to apply for SRO funding this year, we can't.
Can't.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else for Corey?
Nope.
Director of Administration?
All right. So we sent out 4 notifications from the website. The minutes were transcribed from the previous. I participated in the wildfire mitigation fair. The other thing that I really want to touch on with you is the new format of the meeting minutes. Does everybody agree that it's a better format? For Barb and I, we kind of stopped to think about, it's very hard to stay subjective when you're writing minutes as a human, because you have your opinion about what happened. It's very clear what minutes are supposed to be, and it's the consistency. It is not a word for word transcription of what happened. It's motions, the exact wording, resolution, votes and outcome, official actions taken, and key meeting details of attendance and things like that. It's not supposed to be verbatim discussion that happened. We're not to transcribe or record arguments, debates, or personal opinions. It really is supposed to be your guys's, as a body, what happened in the meeting, but not too much detail except for motions. Those are supposed to be exact. As you know, those weren't always things that we were doing. We have been doing those in the last few months. When we have super long meetings, especially 3-hour meetings, it takes us hours to transcribe those sorts of things. Even just sorting through the transcription that Zoom gives us, it's hours. We employed AI. It makes super quick work of these meeting minutes. He doesn't, she doesn't, whoever, the computer doesn't have any personal feelings. So it's very just what happened. So that's what we did this month. We told him that we follow the Robert rules of order, and we need minutes. So what we did was take the transcription from Zoom that happens every month anyway. We upload it into our AI program. He spits out minutes. Barb read over it. She made notes. And then once she plugged it back in and got it all in her format, she brought it to me. I read over it. It made very quick work of something that takes almost an entire month for Barb and I to do on top of our everyday business. We felt here in the office that it was very good, and it did exactly what we needed it to do. It gave context where it needed to. It left personal opinions out of it, and it really painted a clear picture of what happened in this room. Barb tries really, really hard to take her opinion out of it, but she's human, and it happens. So if y'all are good with it, I think we'll continue to do that. I think over the next couple of months, it'll be important that you give us your notes. If you see something that we didn't see, please let us know that. But I think it's a good move for the district to use a program like this. It's going to keep it consistent between people who are transcribing, but between whoever's the secretary, we'll put together an SOP, and they'll know exactly how we've been transcribing minutes, and you'll no longer see that change between secretaries or whoever's transcribing minutes. It'll be consistent whether it's today or 5 years from now. And I think the district needs that. I mean, I know Corey and myself have went back and read minutes, and we're like, we have no clue what happened in this meeting. Yeah. They put things that were completely irrelevant and gave us no information that we needed. So I think it's important that we have some consistency throughout. And this format was really easy to read, and it was clean.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah. So you guys just you go through also and do spell check and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still gotta go through it and clean it up, and it still makes mistakes, but
yeah, it does.
It takes
spelling my name.
it takes the brunt of it and flips it out, and then Barb, our librarian, Barb goes through and cleans it up.
Did you have a question, Lynn?
Yeah, I like it. I think that's everyone in my world is using AI more and more. Does good things like that, saves a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's all, at least my experience with AI, is develop the prompt, get the prompt better and better, and keep saving that exact prompt on how to do it. Like one thing we noted and we had changed was that notation of opinion.
Yeah.
So that would be something to screen for and add to the prompt, but then screen and just in the review of check to see if there's an opinion made, labeling it, versus factual statements. But I think those are, just take notes of those along the way and add them to the prompt that you use every month.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
So one of the biggest changes, it's no longer going to be that verbatim. So you're going to see a whole lot less of Director Sewell said, Director Beer said. Mm-hmm. It's going to be your guys' opinion as a whole versus who said what, which gives a bigger picture idea. Mm-hmm. So if everybody's in favor, I think we'll continue to.
And it's got the YouTube video. If you want to know who said what, you can go to the YouTube video,
which has the entire transcript on it too.
Yes.
Get to the meat of it.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Anything else?
Nope. That's pretty much. Oh, I did want to touch on one other thing. We're working with Doc Access, which is they do the overlay of the website to make it accessible for everyone. There's something weird going on with the program in the background. Doc Access is aware, now that we're aware, for whatever reason, it's showing older versions. Like when you click on something, it's showing the older version of something and then has a note in the corner that there's a newer version available. But if you're not paying attention to that, then you have no clue you're looking at an older version of the document. So they are working in the background.
I think that's an Adobe thing that's happened recently, because I've been noticing that when I'm working on Adobe documents that are only mine, it's pulling up
older
stuff. So it might have something to do with Adobe. I don't know.
Good to know, because I probably need. They have figured out some of it, but they're not to the root of the issue yet. So we are working with them to get that fixed.
Okay. Cool. We forgot to ask for public comments on the district manager. Oops. Are there any public comments from Corey's report? I'm sorry, we forgot to ask.
Or Shauna.
No? Any on Shauna's report? Anyone? Okay, let's,
There is one.
Liz, could you please state your name and your address?
Is Liz Pappas. I own property in Unit 3. I was not able to make out a lot of what Corey said at the beginning of the discussion because of the microphone difficulties, but I would like to ask that perhaps we have a Unit 3 meeting at some point to just gauge everyone's goals and they want to make changes how they would like to, because I understand there's options for Unit 3 to initiate on their own. Thank you.
Okay.
You're also fairly open to the residents of Unit 3 to come down and discuss these things.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You can come down to the office, email me, call me, and I will talk your ear off. But I also don't think it's a bad idea to have a Unit 3 resident meeting, I guess. No.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Get ideas and options from them. Thank you, Liz. Anybody else? All right, Director of Roads and Maintenance.
So his report is printed. For some reason, only the draft got into the packet. The one thing I will mention, here in a couple of weeks, the intersection of Pine Valley is and Meadowbrook is going to be closed down because it's replacing a culvert. So be aware. We got the DMS sign out front, giving people a heads up, and then we're going to be pushing out notifications as time gets closer. But traffic will be diverted. And that's all I have to add to Daryl's report.
Okay. How about Mark?
Public comment?
Oh, any public comments? Thank you, Stephanie. Comments on Daryl's report or what Corey just said? No?
How will this be made available?
It'll get added to the
final.
Okay. Did you want to report on Mark?
I have two things for Mark. Well 3 is up and functioning. It is done deal. We are getting about 20 more gallons per minute, which is awesome. And we also had our compliance survey. The state came down and reviewed our sewer system, and from the sound of it, no major violations. There'll be a few recommendations that come in the report, which we'll get in about 40 more days. It's about 45 days for them to kick that out. But the inspection went really well. Mark and I didn't get any red flags or any concerns from the inspector.
Nice. I forgot to ask the board if you guys had any questions or anything on all the other ones.
Nope.
Okay. Anybody online have any questions about water and wastewater? No? Well, I'm assuming you guys would have raised your hand if you did, so. All right. But we're going to move on to board action and discussion, and we're moving Mr. Keith Nestman property purchase from 5D up to 5A.
So the board asked me to get some preliminary, numbers to bring back, for the construction of the road and whatnot. Fast Tracks quote came back in just a little under 100 grand to relocate our portion of the road. That's $700 to have LPA do the engineering for the power poles that are there. I didn't spend that money, so I don't know if there's going to be any cost to moving electric poles and lines and stuff like that. So that number's not in here. Also had a discussion with our legal team, and one of his suggestions is instead of going through this whole process of relocating the road and selling the property, to grant Keith Nessman an easement to relocate his driveway. At this point, it's really the board wants me to pursue going down the selling of it, or we'll get Keith's stuff here, or pursue it with Keith about looking at easements versus doing a land swap.
Am I correct in saying this is really two problems? This is, what do we do if we allow the driveway to be moved and then we have the opportunity to change the intersection or not? And then do we allow the driveway to be moved? It's not necessarily a bundle.
It would definitely be a phased project. If the board decided to do the land purchase with Keith Nessman, we obviously ain't relocating the road this year because there's still a lot more that needs to go into that. So that would be a separate phase of this process. But in selling the land, there would be some benefit for both Mr. Nessman and the district. And Keith is here if you guys want to speak with him personally.
Open for input.
All right.
So the question is, if there was an easement in perpetuity to extend our driveway, make it safer for travel, and utilization of the upper left portion of our property, that would be an acquisition of the district and an easement that would not increase our property square footage. I understand that correct?
I think there were two options. We could do an easement, or we could do a land swap, or we could do a purchase and sale of two spots. And I think you were offering that as an option, it's not necessarily tied together. So like last
and
month.
And there's a third option of we can just grant an easement for this property and not do anything with that upper corner at all.
Yeah.
At a cost or whatever the board decides.
But then if we decide to move forward with the upper part, we would need Keith's or whoever if you sold your property, whoever that was, you grant us the property.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a land swap makes sense to me. The easement that would be a win-win if we can lose an equal part of the property and literally do an equal swap for something we don't need to fix it right away. We can fix it 10 years from now, but if we own it, at least we have that option in the future. If that's something you're amiable to.
And we could do that with easement too. Like you could still, like, if we granted easement for him to move the driveway so it's less steep, he could also grant easement for the use of the upper end. That doesn't mean we have to use it right now.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought we would have to use it.
Not necessarily, no.
But and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the concern of Mr. Nessman is there's no, if an easement is granted for both, the easement goes with the property, but that property doesn't actually belong to that property. So they would essentially be taking a hit on the selling if he were to sell his property in the future.
But that's where if we did a swap, it would be equal, I'm assuming?
It would be a 0 sum.
Yeah.
That would be the same thing.
Not exactly. A swap would be an exchange of land on the usable corner of the road in exchange for property that we would use to extend our driveway. It would be the equivalent of keeping our property lot square footage the same.
Yeah.
Whereas an easement would be granting permission in perpetuity, but it wouldn't be ours.
Are you in favor of one or the other? That's what you said.
Primary favoring would be outright purchase of parcel of land to extend our driveway. Secondary favoring would be exchange of property 1 for 1.
Because by purchase, the land lines would be rewritten, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would take that corner out of his property, and this would take us out.
Either the land swap or the sale is gonna have to do that. That you're gonna have the same survey requirements, the same legal documentation requirements. It's just a matter of how it's
And
proposed.
correct me if I'm wrong, you really just want to buy the land from the district to do it. You don't want to give up the upper half. That was just another alternative that I threw in there, right?
That was if the board was not unable to the purchase, that could be considered in terms of benefiting the greater good of the community as well as giving us a safer, more accessible driveway.
My own inclination is that now is the time to seize the opportunity to acquire the land to improve that intersection. And afford him the opportunity to improve his driveway. If we don't do both at once, we'll be over a barrel in the future with Keith or successor owners to acquire the property to improve that intersection. So I think it's all or nothing. And if it's a cash sale versus a cash on top of a cash sale or a land swap, I think that's in my opinion, that's how it ought to be done. And the whole business of easements ought to go out the window.
I agree.
Agree.
Okay, so direction from the board.
My inclination would be arrange a swap or formal sale. Acquire the land at the intersection for us and get him the land for his driveway in an equitable manner. And I'll add that the district should not shoulder the entire burden of surveying and all the other documentation. That should be at least shared between property owners.
You might want to add appraisal to that too.
Yeah.
Because they're not gonna appraise equally those two pieces of property.
Okay, so now we need to have an executive session to go through all that.
I agree.
So I'll send an email to the board. How, like, do we want to keep this ball rolling? Like, what, next couple weeks? Executive session?
Yeah, my opinion's yes.
I'm away first week of June, just FYI, but I would make myself available. I'll be close by. I could get here if I had to.
Or attend via Zoom.
I'm okay because what you had said was we wouldn't have to necessarily do the build right now, or you said that.
It's just our land, and when the day comes, probably as part of a bigger project.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will set up an executive session.
nice thing about being a board member is we don't have to remember to do all this stuff.
And I will probably have Paul join us
Mindset that is
in that.
Yeah. Okay.
defeated right away.
But I have nothing else on that.
All right. You want to stay and join the fun for the rest of the day?
You got kids to go beat up on.
Thank you all.
Thank you. You too. Okay, trash provider. Well, let's see. Any public comments on what we just discussed for Mr. Nessman? No.
See any hands up there?
And do we need to say we are tabling this?
Pardon?
Do we need to say we are tabling this rather than making a motion?
Just discussion or action.
Okay.
There's no motion needed.
Just said it on here, so I wanted to make sure we addressed that.
He said that he put those on there just in case we needed to make a decision. Trash provider?
Okay, so as the board's been made aware, Trash Panda has issued their intent to stop serving us by June 5th, I believe.
There was 30 days notice.
30 days, yeah, their 30 days notice. That says it right there, June 5th.
Yep.
I have since then been in contact with Trash Panda. They're willing to pump the brakes on it for right now. They were out of town for a couple weeks. I have not heard back from them yet on what time the meeting is, but we tentatively have a meeting set up for tomorrow to discuss what the issues are and what we can do to remedy this. I went ahead and was a little proactive and started getting quotes from Reliable Waste, Republic, what we're currently being charged with Trash Panda. Obviously, that price may go up depending on the negotiations. And then I reached out to Apex. That's an old quote from the last time we did an RFP. They have not yet given me an updated quote. Would be my recommendation that the board grant myself and 2 other board members that can be readily available to hash out and review and initiate a contract based on the timeline, so we don't have to call in an executive session. I feel like we'll be able to fix the relationship with Trash Panda, but it is also going to take a contract. Now, Trash Panda would be able to be able to wait till the next board meeting, but if we can't come to terms, we'll have to go with Republic or somebody like that. And I would like the board to grant myself and 2 other board members, probably Jim being the treasurer and Julie being the president, to review the contract and sign it outside of having an actual board meeting.
I guess I don't have any, I mean, if, again, it's just like, it would be nice to know what's being discussed, before this decision is being made with, 2 out of 5 board members.
I mean,
but
we can have an executive session, but it's going to be extremely short notice.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of what he's saying in his letter is a big deal. I get that. But also we have 2 options that are both more expensive. And it'd be kind of nice to know, like, can we resolve his issues?
Well, and that's what the meeting that Daryl and I are going to have with Trash Panda is to figure out what these issues are and get them fixed. If we can come to amenable terms.
Yeah, because we weren't aware of any of these issues until we got this letter, which is kind of like being sideswiped. And it's like, what's the reality here?
some of the wind damages that happened. I wasn't aware that there was.
Okay.
Jack didn't tell me that there was more on top of.
Okay.
This letter very much took me by surprise too.
Okay.
Everybody by surprise, even Daryl.
Okay.
How is it, or let me rephrase, do we have a contract with them now?
Yes.
And how is it that there's a 30-day out?
It's wrote into the
That was
contract.
wrote into the
All right,
contract.
that can't be in the next one.
And it went into, yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
You know, I mean, a year's notice, or, you know, it could be down to 30 days when you just can't renew the contract and you have to find somebody else. But this is, you know, this is not day-to-day work. This is kind of, this is how much, about $120,000 a year in service and equipment that we're paying for. This is not the kind of thing that just gets pulled on a month's notice.
No, I absolutely agree. And the contract did go through legal review and it did go through the board as well.
Yeah. Good learning experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think Trash Panda has done a good service for this community.
I
If
agree.
we can repair this, I would really appreciate it because I know the trash that there is still trash flying around the neighborhood, obviously, but it has went down dramatically with those lids.
Agreed.
So if there's conversation that need to happen on both sides, whether, you know, there is an employee, maybe, you know, not as familiar with a backhoe sometime, maybe whatever happened, like, I don't know. I just saw the letter like everybody else. If we can repair it, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, I spent almost an entire day reviewing security fleets. And it's not part of their fault. Trash Panda is causing some damage. Us moving on with the loader is causing some damage. Us smashing the trash is causing some of the damage. Employees forgetting to latch the lids at night and the wind rips
That's
them
a
off.
biggie. You know, that must be particularly expensive to deal with because those lids are enormous and the equipment that manages all that weight, and that's got to be a big deal when one of those blows open. So.
Yeah. Didn't Trash Panda buy these dumpsters just for us?
Yes, that's what their letter says.
So I don't understand about the damage. I mean, we want to eliminate as much as we can.
If you want my honest opinion, what the problem is, it's the profit margin. They're not making enough money,
right.
And then a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunication between district employees and Trash Panda's employees of pointing fingers and things being misconstrued.
Okay.
And if there's conversation outside of Daryl or yourself and him or another supervisor, like, yeah, there shouldn't be.
There's been no conversation with me.
Yeah.
It's all been with.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if there's another employee within the district having a conversation with a driver, they need to point it back to Daryl or you immediately.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And Trash Panda should be coming to you or Daryl, and hopefully, again, that could get ironed out.
And that was in my rebuttal to his letter. Like, this is the first I'm hearing of, you know, these other problems outside of the damage that I was made aware of. Like, if this was an issue, how come you didn't?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Comments.
Yeah.
And say, hey, can we look at making some adjustments here?
Yeah.
So.
Plenty of room for some communication improvement for sure.
Yeah.
And hopefully they are open to that because, you know, they are less than everybody else. And, you know, maybe that's an area that we have to cough up more money because they have lids. Nobody else has lids. I mean, there's a lot of benefits here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind, I have two thoughts that would be negotiation points I would choose, and that is what happens when it comes to damage? Can that be isolated, identify the culprit, and then pay over and above to fix the damage? Because right now he's eating it all, I believe. That could be the case.
Yeah.
And the second is fuel. You know, I don't imagine there's a fuel escalator. I see $700 a bin on the bill, you know, all the time. So he's not charging you more for fuel that's costing him, you know, roughly double. And there an escalator clause related to fuel costs. It'd be a good gamble that they're going to go down anyway. But those are talking points I would choose. Let us fix things where you are paid to fix them if we break them, and let us help you with fuel costs, and then his profit margin should go up.
So I agree with that in premise. I do agree though with Corey in that we shouldn't be negotiating with ourselves right here. I think having a private, either an executive session or a couple representatives of the board, I'm fine with whoever. I don't think we should be talking ourselves up into a more expensive. It should be that negotiation happens behind closed doors for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we should be going through these things in a public setting. Like that's one of the specific carves outs for a special session.
When we first picked the trash to work with Trash Pandas, didn't we have an executive session for that?
I don't believe
can't
so.
remember. Okay, thanks.
When you guys chose Trash Pandas?
Yeah.
No, because at that point, my predecessor went out with an RFP and came back with quotes.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we don't need to have an executive session and just you and back to your question, you and two board members and Daryl.
Well, I don't know that 2 board members would be present for the conversation with Jack, but
for discussion though,
board
Jack
members to review the
bring back to the next meeting to approve. Right? Like,
No, he's saying based on timeline, it could be that it just has to be approved right then. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
But then it would have to be brought to the board that that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So Trash Panda would allow it to wait till the next, or we could just have a special session to get the contract approved if the entire board wants to be involved in reviewing the quotes and contracts.
I mean, would Trash Panda as part of the negotiations not be willing to extend services 1 month? We can.
We can have.
So that the longer contract with
We can absolutely ask.
Yeah.
Just we have till June 5th as it stands right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I said my part. I don't have anything else. Stop looking at me.
And so everybody's okay then with Corey moving forward?
Before that.
Okay.
Well, does the board want
An executive session.
Well, it wouldn't be an executive
That's
session,
special.
it'd be a special session. Does the entire board want to review all the quotes, or is the board okay with me and 2 other board members?
I am okay. This is Stephanie. I am okay with you and 2 board members making the decision.
Michael, same as Stephanie.
Lynn, same.
Julie, same.
I'm okay with whomever you choose.
Can you amend that to state who?
This is Stephanie. I'm okay with Corey meeting with. Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, good point, Michael. Are there any public comments online? Anybody want to comment regarding the trash?
I don't see any.
No.
In-house?
Sorry.
Yeah. Good.
Okay, this is Stephanie. I'd like to make a motion that Corey and 2 board members, I think you called for Jim and Julie, can make the decision on our trash provider.
This is Michael, I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Okay, we're gonna move on.
Sounded like you had an added work.
Sure, I was like, like, no. It's 7:40. Could we please take a 5-minute break?
Great.
No.
Yes. Okay. Facilitator,
It's kind of rude.
start over.
She is super, her tone
That's
is rude.
7:44, we're resuming the meeting. CPSHR quote, facilitator for strategic plan.
All right. So, as you all aware, I've been working on the strategic plan, and I reached out to CPS HR for some guidance on how to proceed with this, as well as a couple of my peers, and they strongly suggest that we get a facilitator to help us work through updating and working on our strategic plan. One of the things that this is going to do is it's going to assist the board in identifying and prioritizing long-term goals, and it's going to help maintain focus and facilitate more productive discussions around board goals. It's going to also help ensure all board members have an equal opportunity to provide input, and it's going to reduce the likelihood of discussions becoming personal or unproductive. And what they're suggesting is they're going to do one-on-one interviews. They'll have an interview with me, interview with the board of directors, and my directors. And kind of get the overall, then they'll kind of build a agenda off of that and a process of how they think this should go, and then it'll be a day to a day and a half board retreat where we're in here for 5 to 6 hours, maybe 8. This is also, it's not a budgeted item, so we would have to do a budget amendment out of the general fund for this, which the general fund can definitely absorb that $21,233. I highly recommend that we go down this path because I don't have the expertise to facilitate a meeting with the board on this matter, and then just having a neutral party help take your ideas versus Jim ideas versus
Right.
Stephanie's ideas, had to bring part there and mine, and mash it all together to one long-term goal, if that makes sense.
Is part of this kind of a way to maintain as well as new boards come in, something we can get a process with it to do it ourselves and maintain it ourselves. We're kind of starting from scratch, so I think it makes sense now, but I feel like if we're gonna have to do it again in 2 years, it becomes really expensive. So I wouldn't say it needs to be done like every 2 years, because some of these long range goals, I mean, they're 5-7 year goals. I don't see us redoing a strategic plan unless the new board comes in and wants to revise the whole thing. But the strategic plan is a guiding document for the board to evaluate the district manager's role if he's doing the job, he or she is doing the job that you hired the person to do, as well as it gives myself and my department directors a roadmap of where our efforts should be focused.
versus us just picking and choosing what we want to do. And it's also a roadmap for oncoming board members to be able to review, okay, this is what we're focusing on. And then they kind of guides them in their decision-making process, if that helps.
I'm not suggesting that the district should do this, but most nonprofit organizations do these frequently, every year or two. It would be typical, and every couple of years, just to make sure that you're on the straight and narrow. Have you followed the plan, or is it just gone on the shelf? So again, I'm not advocating for that, but we have to start somewhere, and these things are not infinite in their lives. They need attention regularly, and they need to be amended now and again.
That could be part of the problem of the district is there's been no guidance and oversight. Everybody's just kind of doing whatever, let's do this, let's do that, and what's the next fire drill? And I don't like having to spend the money, but when we talked about it, it made sense. Still don't like spending the money, but it does make some sense because just sitting down, we've already asked, well, what do you guys need? But we're not getting that because I can't tell you what we need because I'm not in the day-to-day. I just know portions of the day-to-day and what needs to be done around the district. So maybe this would be a good thing.
I would like to add that many strategic plans go into a binder and go on a shelf and gather dust. So if we're going to commit to doing this, I think we need to commit to touching base on the strategic plan as regular part of board meetings. Monthly, maybe not, but at least quarterly, we should determine what progress we're making toward fulfilling the plan and fulfilling the mission designed in the plan. Having it part of the normal discourse will keep it fresh and in front of us. And a lot of organizations have the meeting and then it's all vaporware.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Most organizations that have like monthly business, quarterly business reports, and each one ties into the achievement of the goals that were identified. Having an underlying back frame of timeline that I'm assuming this would help provide to where are we on track to meet those things. Regular review would be good. I agree. I don't know if it needs to be monthly with this, but a certain cadence that they can probably help us determine.
And the other thing about having a strategic plan, that'll greatly help us build out our capital improvement plan, because it'll give us the direction of where our focus needs to be versus chips around the lake. I mean, what goal is that attached to? Because it's not attached to anything right now, so there's no justification behind why we did it other than it was asked by residents.
I wholeheartedly support doing strategic planning.
I support it as well. I would like to say in maybe for future implementation of additional plans that we're going to have to do, I would like to see us maybe creating a budget item. They're having the money budgeted before the next time we have to do it.
Oh no, absolutely. I was trying to do this without having a facilitator, but like I said, I don't have the expertise to facilitate that meeting.
Right, and after we go through it, we may go, oh, this is maybe something we could do in the future, which that's a possibility too, so.
With the changing of the boards, it might be a good thing to always have budgeted, like she said, every 2 years or 3 years or whatever it is.
I feel like once you have a basic framework too, it's easier to add on than to start from scratch, which is I think where a lot of the confusion is like,
Yeah.
what do we start with?
We have a lot of these situations where we're kind of starting from scratch right now, so I think it would be beneficial.
And is this replacing, this will replace the 1973 strategic plan, right? It is a strategic plan, right?
No, that's a service plan.
Service plan.
And no.
No. Okay.
Where do you envision having this? Here?
The rec center.
Probably somewhere where food is readily available, because we will have to provide food. Because we're gonna be here all day. That'll come from.
At 5K.
You're gonna be hungry, huh?
Oh, no, it's just,
Joking.
you're gonna rent a room, you're gonna
Well,
end up with
I
food.
don't know if that will rent a room or not. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Fire department has a conference room. They've often.
Is it core?
Yeah.
Julie, I think your foot is on it. Yeah.
It's a USB cable.
Uh-oh. There you go.
Well, the camera's still working, we just can't see it up here.
Yeah, you guys are still recording.
Excellent, okay,
Speaker
This
is
one was
showing.
My computer is bugging out, sorry, we're having a technical difficulty.
Okay, looks like we're back.
Microphone default. Okay, that would work.
Were you about to say something about the strategic plan?
Nobody move.
I'll just add mine. I don't think this is a leadership, like lack of leadership or lack of experience issue. This is merely like getting everybody on the same page. I don't think it's necessarily new board members. Like, I think it's an issue with new district managers that something like this should be reviewed. And so for you to get the information consolidated and have a clear path forward for the district, like, I think is a good thing. I think something like this could easily get bogged down and you just go about doing your daily motions and okay, we're doing our mission, and this will give you your path forward plus like other avenues to focus on. So I don't, again, this isn't a knock at you at all, and I don't think you should phrase it that way. This is a good direction for the board members to be heard and the district to be heard, and you know, a path forward developed.
And the directors are included, right? What I read.
There should be.
Yeah. Okay. So, this is a quote, correct?
This is a quote.
Get down to the bottom here. Okay. Any other discussion from the board before I move on to the public comments?
Just from the quote, they don't actually have the directors listed. They have district manager and board of director and reviews. But the other directors is absent, so.
They should be included.
Well, they are included.
Okay.
And I'll
Yeah, and there's no signature or anything on here yet, so. So we're just gonna approve you to move forward with them revising this.
You can either approve me to sign it with them adding directors on here, or approve one of the board members to sign it with the change.
Yeah, I would sign it. They definitely need to add directors on here.
Okay.
So it's clear. Are there any comments from the online people? Online? No.
Robin does.
Hey, Robin?
Robin can go. You're going to that guy. Too. Anyway, have you gone back to like when Keith was the district manager and they did the mission statement and they did contingent plans and stuff like that? Might be a good idea to go back to previous boards. I know new board, new ways, but there were things when Keith was here, that wasn't so long ago, where they did stuff. You might want to incorporate some of that. When Tony and stuff was here too, that was just what, 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's in the minutes and stuff. You might want to review some of that stuff before you say we're just going to start fresh now. It doesn't change the service plan, but this is the mission statement, you know, what your long-term goals are and stuff. And that was established. So you might want to look at that, even though it's a new board.
I think you went over the mission statement and stuff before, didn't you, Corey?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're not starting from scratch. We have all that stuff. It is going to be reviewed and updated, and like all the projects and stuff and goals that are listed on that are
Super vague, to be honest. They were.
So it's not starting from complete scratch. We have what I've already compiled and updated that these guys are going to review and give their recommendations on top of getting the board and the district together on the goals that need to be accomplished. That answers your question.
No, it was, yeah, mine wasn't really.
Is that easily searchable?
I sent it to all the board.
Yes.
Can I not see that one?
It was a very vague list.
I'll go back and look.
When we first got on.
Okay.
There was a.
Yeah, that
I sent 3 or 2 examples of other government strategic plans on top of what we had.
I'll go back and look. I'm sorry about that.
And I can resend it.
yeah,
And it was a few months ago, Michael.
Okay.
yeah, and I thought I remembered that more as the quintessential mission statement with no details versus this. I thought was that kind of not the wastewater plan, but more making sure we're doing that in a timely fashion, making sure we're doing all the other components and getting so it's a project guide. It's a more technical thing than just a mission statement.
It's the overarching umbrella, and then from the overarching umbrella, you
built out.
it comes out to your capital improvement plan, your personnel policies, your financial policies, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
Incorporating what you've already got. So.
Okay. Nobody else?
I have one question about travel. How many people are coming here, presumably from the Denver area or similar, for $3,000?
I think they're in Texas too.
Right above it says their travel an hourly rate.
Yeah, that
I don't have to. I didn't print the whole proposal.
Right here.
Yeah. Oh, they're in Sacramento, California.
Got their hourly rate and the travel rate.
Travel.
And this might be inexpensive with fuel.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, I think they're coming from where are they
Sacramento.
Yeah, Sacramento flight to Durango.
Well, round trip to Denver was $1,700.
Jeez.
Just plain for.
And it would be also hotel.
That's why I'm driving.
Okay,
Hotel and food.
ready to move on to the next item?
As long as we're ready for Corey. Everybody good?
No.
So,
So
Well,
you're gonna, Mhm.
Yeah, do we need?
You're gonna move forward with getting the quote
You gotta make a motion.
This is Lynn. I'd like to make a motion to, with that, the director added in, not board of directors, but
direct.
Sean and Daryl Mark, directors added in. If I move to approve using CPSHR quote to facilitate strategic plan in the amount of $21,233.
This is Julie. I second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, we'll move on to designating 160 acres of greenbelt.
Okay, so, the district, way back when, bought the 160 acres on the back for the evacuation route. Was not designated as anything, it's just a lot that the district owns. Per our service plan, we're supposed to have 210 acres of greenbelt. So there's a few ways to do this, depending on how the board wants, how easily the board wants it to be changed. So the board can designate that 160 acres as greenbelt to a resolution, but other boards can come in and change it. There's a more legal way to make it indefinite through doing a deed restriction and all that to classify it, and then it's a lot harder to get that change from greenbelt to where the board could choose to subdivide it and sell lots off. So what I need from the board, so I know what to get drafted up, is do they want future boards to be able to come in and say, let's take 50 acres of this, subdivide that out and sell those lots off for financial gain for projects or whatever, or make it to where it's nearly impossible to unclassify as greenbelt through legal process.
can I ask a couple of questions? So if our service plan says we need 210 acres, what's been qualifying as our 210 acres since 1973?
Nothing. We're at 98.
So we have 98 acres. So obviously it's not something we have to do. Just right. It's just something that would. I mean, what's mandating the need for that?
Our service plan is our legal document for the subdivision to exist. Part of the approval through the county for our service plan was we were going to designate 210 acres greenbelt.
Okay.
We're at 98 acres now. At 210 acre, pardon me, not 210. That 160 will get us well above where we need to be.
So the developers screwed us up from the very beginning. I mean, obviously, like Unit 3 could have met that requirement. Okay, second question. I just wondered where that came from. When we purchased that 160 acres, was all of that surveyed?
I wasn't here. I don't know. I could try to dig up some more, but I'm assuming it would have had to have been surveyed to be bought.
Okay.
We don't have a lot of historical documentation.
Okay.
Because that sale happened, or the purchase of that property happened in an executive session.
Almost everything I try to look up on it is mentioned on the agenda, and then you go to the minutes and it's in an executive session. I'm like, oh, that's freaking awesome.
I would like to see some stuff. I mean, I do remember there being like, what the heck just happened here? As a resident of Forest Lake, so it would kind of be good to know what happened.
Yes, they had a survey done. Southwest Properties or whoever bought that property.
I think it was about 9 years ago, because when I first came on to Forest Lakes, we went to a board meeting, and then they were talking about purchasing a big chunk of property right up there.
If it was done 9 years ago, I can almost promise you it was done, but I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because that was with Ed Womer, though. It could have been just a handshake. Just saying.
And that's what we haven't been able to figure out is
Okay.
because so much of it was done in executive session.
Well, like the evacuation road, for example, a person granted us access to go through Deering's property
who didn't have
the authority to grant the access through Deering's property for the evacuation route.
Yeah. It's recorded in the county, right? That it's our property?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Or GIS wouldn't say it.
Well, I just wonder who signed it. Was it
We'll have to look it up.
signed sale?
I didn't bring that information. I didn't think it was really pertinent to this conversation.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just curious. Go ahead.
I'm curious about your concern on essentially deed restricting the land to protect it from future boards. I don't know that is necessary, especially if you designate 210 acres as greenbelt and then they try to break that up. Then they're facing what is versus what they're trying to disassemble.
It's not a concern. It's just how the board wants to go about it. It was just a conversation I was having with Paul about how do we go about turning that into greenbelt, and he was like, "Well, you can go option 1, option 2, or."
I don't think that trying to hamstring future boards is a thing we ought to do.
Agreed.
Yeah, and doesn't make one way or another to me. A resolution is a lot simpler than doing the whole deed restriction thing, which would be my preferred route.
Yeah, and we never know if the district gets into a really financial bind and they've got to sell all that property. So.
But that's where I also feel that there are boards that are short-sighted and potentially could do a knee-jerk reaction and want to subdivide a property. So the legal teeth behind it would protect it for the community.
Yeah, and that slows down the
I've
decision
been on
making a
boards
little
that are
bit.
just
Yeah.
like absolutely sell everything off, and it makes no sense whatsoever. So, like, I guess we are making a decision not knowing what a future board could. I don't know. You know, you get the wrong district manager in here, you get the wrong board members that have a construction company. I mean, I'm just saying, you never know what if. They could have a construction company and incentive to develop. And that's what I worry about. If we have the ability now to protect it in perpetuity, like, why not? That's why.
Yeah.
You guys tell me.
Yeah, and I come down similar to Jim. I think full flexibility. I think we live in a representative constitutional republic for a reason. It allows future citizens to guide who sits in these seats and what they want done. And there's mechanisms through which they can try to stop it, like the gate. Like, there's things that, like, I think us making a decision for future citizens is the wrong thing. Because we, like Julie said, we don't know what's going to happen there or what the future circumstances are going to bring.
Yeah, I kind of, I feel like restrictions can be involving more of the people in the community rather than just 6 people or maybe less than 6 people making a decision. And that could be what the restriction is.
So it goes to a public vote.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like super tight. It's still keeping it in the hands of the people, but gives the people the decision making.
Yeah, that's.
And maybe you say, and maybe it doesn't have to be 100% vote, or you know, but I would rather see something like that than just leave it in the hands of a few. For the same reason that Michael's saying, it's all of the residents of the community that need to be making that decision. Just a thought.
So resolution designating it Greenbelt, but in order for it to be changed, whatever, it would have to go out to the voters. Is what I'm hearing.
I think that's a good compromise between the two. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I like that.
And I really would like to see how that transfer of that 160 acres took place, because dollars to donuts, I doubt that it was entirely surveyed. I don't know that the adjacent landowners in Forest Lakes, who anybody that lives adjacent to that 160, were notified that it was happening and had any input to, okay, you know, this is affecting your property line too, possibly. So I just think it'd be good to see that before I commit to saying yeah, because it may actually have some impact on people adjacent to that. Like, I'm pretty sure that what a lot of people, and I am one of those people, so I will put that out there, but there is a fence that runs adjacent to that 160 on at least two of the sides of it. The other two sides there's not, but a lot of property owners all along that make the assumption that that's their property line, and it may not be. And I think that just needs to be taken into consideration, not just for me personally, but for everybody along there.
Where's their fence?
Like everybody that lives like along this and up here,
Yeah.
there is fence there.
Uh-huh.
And that's my only thought. If it was surveyed, great. If not, we probably should do that.
Isn't that required though? I'm just curious.
For it to have a survey?
I have property that you can waive the survey requirements.
Yeah.
And if this was kind of a backroom deal, I'm not saying it is.
Well, yeah, and there may have been the assumed boundaries of Forest Lake subdivision. Maybe it could be written like that. I just think we should be clear on that before we make a decision, and that may be impacting not only Forest Lakes as a whole, but individuals also, because it's like, if you go walking up there, it's like, I don't know where the forest boundary is, or I just think we could be thinking it's our forest boundary side of it is here, and it's actually not. So just something, food for thought.
Okay. So proceed with getting a resolution drafted, finding out if it was surveyed or not. If it was not surveyed, you want me to get it surveyed before?
That's going to be a pretty, I mean, it's going to be a pricey survey, I would guess, for 160 acres, but I don't know. There should be some pretty clear points out there. And that's just me. I'm just spewing.
Maybe find out how much it is.
I mean, you said it was
$2,500
to survey two
Wouldn't it be
lots.
on that GIS map?
The survey?
Yeah, no, the boundary line.
I mean, that's
Well, the boundary lines are,
isn't that what it
I
says?
mean, within 20 feet.
Do we have a copy of the deed in-house? I would think we do. Do we keep those kind of records here?
Should.
We should.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to guarantee what was done back in the day.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
I will not tell you 100%
Yeah.
certain, but I do know when we were looking into the deering issue, we did come across some things, but a lot of it was handwritten notes, copies of emails. I don't remember a lot of
I know there's
proof of what is and what's not.
I know there's a couple files on it that I'll pull back out and go through.
Okay, so we're gonna table this until you decide.
There's no decision really. There's no motion that needs to be on this. Just discussion for me to know which way the board wants me to go, which sounds like resolution with the voter stuff wrapped into it and find out whether or not it's been surveyed.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, because it could affect it on lots of sides.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have any questions about that 160 acre greenbelt? I think everybody fell asleep. Next, we're going to move on to the sale of district lots on Little Bear.
Yeah, so I was asked to get some preliminary numbers for those lots. So I reached out to my realtor and asked her if she would be able to, give me some information on lots, and she provided us with some, I believe they're called ICMAs or CMAs. And then in your packet, you should see the letter or email that she sent with her suggestions of prices and all that. Legal team says there's no issues or nothing stopping the district from selling those lots. So if the board wishes to proceed with selling these lots, we need to have an executive session and discuss the board's strategy of proceeding with this, whether that's going through a realtor, trying to do this in-house, and all that. My suggestion is if the board wants to go this route, the board should make a decision on, well, let me rephrase that, not make a decision, but select 3 realtor companies and kind of interview them and see which realtor is going to be the best suit for the district. And then, go with that realtor and figure out, the price and all that good jazz and how they want to do it. The realtor I was talking to did suggest, some prices and given right of first refusal to the adjacent properties, or I think she even said in her letter something about a market back there.
Yeah.
But the board really needs to decide if they want to sell this property or not. And if the board does choose to sell the property, we need to come through and have our executive session to hash out all these fine points.
And if I can interject, because I think there's 2 parts to this. There's one that we've consulted with the lawyer, heard legal feedback on, that I think we have to discuss. I think that's separate from discussing what the sale should process, if we're going to go down that route, should be. And it is a potential conflict of interest that we have. And even Corey tends to include Julie and I as president, vice president in those type of things of reaching out to legal. So we're aware of it. And so I thought a lot about that component. And although the lawyer came back and said there's no definitive conflict of interest on it, there is a perception, which, given what happened in October and November, is interesting, because then there was pretty clear cut. I have a quote on it where he says, in his opinion, it is not a conflict of interest. He did not say that this time. My personal view is I think there is a perception of conflict of interest here. But I don't think that necessitates excluding oneself. But given how things were talked to them, I think we need to bring it up now.
Yours is right here. Is this what you're looking for?
What? Yeah.
Paul sent.
No, that's on the sale of the property. This is, so for those that are not aware, my understanding is, Stephanie, you are a beneficiary on a adjacent property.
Should Robin die?
If I died,
I am the beneficiary of her property. She can change that at any time. I have absolutely no right in the property.
Okay.
And she has to die.
Okay.
So,
Don't push it.
I really feel like, that gives me no right in her property. She could go to the clerk's office tomorrow and,
Nephew niece.
yeah, get rid of that. So for me, that's like, I have zero right in that property. I don't have, it's not like a life estate. I have no decision making on it. I have zero right in it unless she were to die tomorrow. Or when,
But that is the legal case right now. And again, given, I mean, I can use a quote that there may not be a conflict of interest from a legal standpoint. There is an appearance of a conflict of interest, and that's one that I think needs to be reconsidered.
are you saying I can't buy it or I can't buy it?
This board is talking. Please wait until your opportunity. So we're dealing with the reality of today is my issue. And again, I don't actually see an issue. What I see an issue with is taking our legal advice and applying different mental frameworks on that legal advice depending on the person involved. Again, the October, November, where that quote was made in reference to, and I pulled that straight from the YouTube video. The lawyer was very clear there is no conflict of interest. He didn't even mention perception. He said very clearly there's not. In this one, he does not say that. He specifically goes through how it could be, says he can't make the determination it is. However, he then goes into the perception of the conflict of interest. So it seems like there's different standards being held.
I also wonder if the attorney made that statement based on the October situation because that language came up during that. We don't have any, nothing from him saying where his perception came from. I mean,
I don't think that's germane.
You don't
what
know
the
that.
lawyer's counsel is the lawyer's counsel.
And that there is no conflict of interest, is what he said.
He said he can't make a determination.
Yep,
he said in the one in October there is none. That he's very severe, and I have it pulled up and highlighted because so this is in one of his concluding paragraphs. As such, the facts do not support that a board member that lives on a road that is subject to the decision that has a conflict of interest for the purpose of a vote on that item. So that's the October one that you had when you made that quote that I quoted you earlier. And then in this one, the question of whether board member Ballsy can vote on the decision to sell FLMD's property is dependent on whether there is evidence presented that the sale would directly and substantially impact the value of the board member Ballsy's property. He does misstate that. So, or whether the benefit of board member Ballsy's decision would be the same for all owners. So again, that does preclude Robin in it, or include her by the all owners. If such evidence is presented, then board member must recuse herself and refrain from participating.
But again, I have no benefit in that.
Right now, you are legally the beneficiary. Legally, you have a benefit. You are the beneficiary.
I have no benefit in the property. It's not transferring to me. I don't, unless this person dies, I have no direct benefit on the property.
And that's where, again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm looking at the lawyer and reading what he said.
Well, if we want to hire more attorneys, but he didn't say he said if I have, and I don't have any benefit in the property. I have the value of the property doesn't impact me personally. It has nothing to do with me other than the fact that somebody put me as a beneficiary deed at some point in the past, and they can change their mind at any point.
And again, I agree with that logic. I think it's inconsistent. That's all.
Well, on the sale of it today anyway.
This has nothing to do with selling the property, to whom we sell the property. It's speaking to the fact that you are in a position that seems conflicted, has all the appearances of being significantly conflicted because should she die, you inherit the property. And that's what's written in a legal document at this
Excuse me,
point.
Robin,
And please, so
2 more times.
we're just saying you should recuse yourself because the appearance of conflict of interest severely outweighs the appearance of conflict of interest we had as residents on a street that was opened up improperly and we wanted to have closed. Tit for tat, it's fair to ask you to step out on this particular decision.
I am not going to recuse myself. Neither of you did.
Oh, and I'm not asking you to. I'm saying you have different
I'm
takes.
I'm addressing
Okay.
Jim. I am not going to recuse myself. I feel very strongly that I put the benefit of Forest Lakes residents before myself. I am not a direct, unless something horrible happens to Robin, and Robin can go to the courthouse tomorrow and change that deed, and I have zero right, and we are not voting on this today. And my point is that I am putting the needs of Forest Lakes Metro District, the members of this community, in front of any of my needs. If I say I don't think we should sell the property, that is my right to say that. I am not giving a presentation as a board member. That is not happening. I am not going to recuse myself from this vote when we get to the point that the vote is being made.
I can see both sides. Robin? I'm sorry. Okay. I can see both sides. I can see your side and I can see what they're saying and what Paul is saying. Paul is also saying, if I read this correctly, you did not have to, you could continue on. It just is an what's it called? Improprietary.
Yeah, appearance of impropriety.
Yeah. Could view that way. My personal opinion on this is I feel strongly that I think that you would not vote for something to benefit yourself. I don't think that you would do that. I feel that you would be true to the situation. So I'm okay if you don't recuse yourself. I also see what they're saying, of what Paul is saying. That's my opinion.
I would like Paul's letter to be included in the minutes for transparency. I think that was something that was missed last in October. But again, we're not lawyers.
I'm blindsided. Yeah, I had no idea about any of this. So I just wonder if this even comes into play at all before, like, we look at a vote. So are we at the point of voting on selling the property? Because if we're not, I don't see. Well, again, like I'm just hearing about it right now, so I have no
conflict of interest include
lawyer information
discussion.
We didn't get to have that discussion beforehand, before these guys presented at the meeting to close the roads in
Yeah.
5. So maybe it's a good thing that it's coming up beforehand now rather than during the meeting after they
Yeah, and that's why I was saying I wanted to do it first and get it out of the way and move on. Yeah.
I think each one of us, and I've said this every single time any conversation has come up, we owe our position to the community members and we all need to make decisions. I know in the past there was one decision where I refrained from a vote. I didn't recuse myself. I didn't step out of the room. I chose not to vote, which now isn't allowed, but I did that on behalf of the residents that I felt I represented in that topic. I think we all owe our loyalty to the community and we have to make decisions based on what's best for the community. And this topic, I had no idea about any of this. I had nothing about I didn't see the whole letter. I didn't know I just didn't even think we were even that close to going to market with this property.
Well, we're not close to going to market
So,
at all.
yeah. And so for discussion purposes, like, I mean, I'm definitely in favor of having a discussion about this topic, so.
The decision that needs to be made is whether or not we want to proceed with the information that I got from the realtor that I spoke to
In the letter you shared?
in that letter, and
is there two different realtors?
We're gonna proceed.
This one.
This is just from one. Either we proceed, and then if the board decides to proceed with selling of these lots, we need to have an executive session and hash out all these details and figure out who the realtor is going to be, or if we even go with the realtor, the market price, the whole 9 yards. This was just me getting numbers as I was asked to do. So there was a starting point.
And that's this getting into the second part. That's when we talked about it last week when Roy, right? You came in and brought it up. George, was that you brought it to our attention? Or was that okay? If the lots are, I'm not a believer in government owning property to own property. We have our green belt requirements. We're talking about amending it to add 160 acres. That'll put us at 250. We agreed to have 208.
It says in the service plan, it says approximately 210 acres.
Yeah. So we're well above that once the 160 acres is transferred. What benefit are these properties to the wider community versus what benefit is there of the 335,000 potentially from those two properties sale, and say not even changing what it goes to, but instead shifting it to fixing the dam, making the lake improved. The community can talk through what they want, but at no cost to the community. What's the better benefit? Is it those two properties that currently have zero value to the community, or something that is a more expensive task that will be a bigger ask later on? And I think that's what we have to weigh in this if we're going to be fiduciarily responsible to the people of Forest Lakes.
And to Lynn's point to that, if the board decided to sell those lots combined, that 335,000 is 3/4 of the dam project.
Mm-hmm.
Or the dam.
And with grants, we probably can extend it further, and we can make other potential improvements.
That 335,000 is a new community building over there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a lot of infrastructure that needs to happen, and we do not have the funds for it. And this is just 2 pieces of property. I know you had talked about other property around the area. Some of it needs to be used for maybe tanks or whatever.
There's 2 other lots that we have that we need for future development. This realtor came out and looked at all the properties that I sent to her to go look at. She's deemed a lot of them as unusable, like the 11 alpine forest that we own right out there at the front. I mean, that's nothing but a hillside. Obviously, not building a house there.
Yeah.
We have a lot in Unit 3 that is landlocked. Nobody's gonna buy that.
No.
So she didn't give us a price for that.
We don't have any other lots around either that we could sell.
Not that.
There was one other you said that she didn't. She misquoted.
Oh, there's one right down here on Alpine Forest. I forget the address, but she didn't give us a price for that one. But it's in between Chateau and the White House there.
Yeah.
I didn't get a price for that.
That's something to look at and see if we have others, but this would be something that we cannot afford to do, the dam. I mean, in my mind, this is what we need to go for and do.
I would just like to bring up a couple of other things that by nature, the description of open space is a buffer between the metropolitan district and the forest. And that is something that I think we need to consider. I also think we need to consider what's going to happen development wise on those parcels and how much is it going to cost us to run infrastructure to those parcels for development. Because if somebody buys them, they will develop them, and it will cost the Metro District proper money to do that as well. I think that needs to be a consideration.
Do we not charge for tap fees and running lines and stuff? That puts us to not lose money.
So,
Well, we have to put roads and stuff, a road down there because the Carlson's Drive isn't
well,
ours.
their driveways come off of Little Bear Drive. That's where their driveways would come off. So essentially, if Joe Blow bought the lots directly behind Roy and Robin, his driveway would be going down the property line, essentially.
That'd be their
for that lot.
responsibility to pay for.
And that would be their
I'm just saying
responsibility.
it's something we need to, I think we need to keep in mind.
And we do charge a connection fee for both the water and the sewer, and a plant investment fee, and we also, the board did vote, we were losing a lot of money doing the excavation ourselves, and we have since then put all the burden of the excavation onto that contractor.
Yeah, and we get the tax money once it's old. If we go that route, like.
Yes, and it benefits a few people too. I mean, I hear what you're saying.
So what you're saying though is that the net result of someone purchasing a lot, even on Snowbird, and developing the lot, it does not cost the district. There are costs to the district to buy the materials, but the person developing the property pays for that.
Yeah.
In the end.
Okay.
So they're not a net cost.
The tap fee is meant to cover the cost of the parts and the pieces.
Okay. All right.
So.
I think Roy has a question.
Let's finish up the board component.
So basically, does the board agree that we would do an executive session with 3 realtors, quotes, or whatever they call it?
That's my recommendation is the board interview 3 different realtors.
I think that's a good idea. Really good idea.
I like the 3 realtors. I do think we might want to get an independent appraiser to evaluate the value of the property along with the realtors, because realtors are not the same.
No,
as an appraiser.
Absolutely agree. And that would be some of the stuff that would be hashed out in that executive session.
Corey, can I ask a question just because I'm a little confused? Are you asking them to vote tonight on whether the property is for sale or not for sale?
No.
Or that will happen in executive session?
We would be, what I need to know, so we're not wasting everybody's time, the board needs to decide whether or not they want to sell this property tonight or not. If the board wants to sell the property, then we need to have an executive session. If the board doesn't want to sell the property, then there's no sense in doing any more, getting realtors and setting up an executive session. So the board does need to make a decision to sell this property or not, or table it for further discussion down the road.
Is it time for a motion?
Well, we need public comment, and I don't know if there's any other thoughts from the
board needs to finish up their discussion and then open it up for public comment.
For me, I would like to get rid of that property so we have some of that money to do some things that we cannot afford. And we have not afforded to be able to do that lake for how many years now? it just gets pushed away and pushed away, and that could be a catastrophic event for Forest Lake if we don't resolve that.
Depending on how full it is.
Yeah,
It's a lot of, that's a lot of water coming down, and we've got to resolve that. And too many boards keep pushing this stuff off.
I agree that, you know, it's probably time to sell it and then to identify how this money will be earmarked, or will it be earmarked? Will it go to the general fund? Will it go to fixing the sewage plant? That's a whole other big discussion. I like simpatico idea a lot, but I think that's a separate discussion, separate decision. But I do support selling the property.
Anybody else?
I feel like there's no need to sell this property. I am not in favor of it, but I also feel like there should be more discussion on this topic. I feel like we haven't really consolidated ideas on this, and we're all looking at it from different angles, and that's a good thing. I don't feel like we're in. I don't.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No, I am.
I just feel like if we are going to be making the decisions to sell Forest Lakes properties, we need to bundle every single property we're going to sell in before we make a decision. I think we should consider everything right over here. I think we should consider the stuff out to the entrance, and we should consider every open space parcel we have that has a potential for sale, and put them all up for sale. If we're going to sell two, we should sell everything at that point, and just look at everything. Where are we going to get the most bang for the buck if we're going to be selling properties? Does this property out here have more value to it than the properties on the back side of the lake, or the properties at the front of the subdivision? I think we should be looking at the value of every property and make the decision after we know what the full value of all open space properties in Forest Lakes are, and then make our decision.
I agree with that. That's why I was asking what other lots we had.
I think there's only one that we're unaware of, right?
Yeah, it's right down the road.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we can look at subdividing this lot. Well, we
It's in use though, right? Like,
it is in use.
I think that's a delineator for me. Is it in use, or is there any noted future use? And to my understanding, there's not with those. They were designated as greenbelt in an old covenant, but we're literally right next to them is another 160 acre other greenbelt.
The one thing that is beholden to what lots we can and can't sell with the district is the service plan and the lots that the district owns for future development.
So why don't we table this so everybody can think about it some more, and Corey can maybe let us know exactly what properties are designated as recreation, greenbelt, whatever you want to call it. You know, is this greenbelt? Is this recreation? Where are there places in Forest Lakes that we could sell without taking away the recreational area for people? Or maybe it doesn't matter, you know. And then we can chew on it some more.
What?
Does everybody agree with that? Tabling it and thinking about it some more?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
You as well.
Tim?
Is there public
Yeah,
comment
Not yet.
available?
Elizabeth?
it will be.
It will be in just a minute.
Well, we can make the determination after the public.
Yeah,
Is what we're
Yeah.
kind of supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah. If we want to open it to public, I'm good with that.
You can go.
Yes, I'd like to,
Public comment.
Okay,
I'd like to speak, please.
Elizabeth, we will call on everyone. So since you have joined in, please state your name and your address.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Elizabeth Otter. I live at 41 Little Bear Lane. And I'm sorry, vibrating. In all the years I have lived here and listened to board meetings, there has never been any discussion about selling lots. And now my neighbor wants to buy a lot and set up a racetrack for his kids. And the value that those realtors are talking about, I think, is way, way much. I own the lot next to my house, and it's nowhere near valued $150,000 that they are saying those two lots are. And I agree with Stephanie saying if we're going to open up selling lots, then open it up all of the lots, not just one or two. And I'm amazed that this has never been brought up until somebody all of a sudden says, okay, I want to buy a lot. And now we're like, yeah, gung ho, let's sell these lots. And it will affect me. It will affect my neighbors with traffic, with construction. I really hope the board will consider all of the ramifications of more construction being done here in Forest Lakes. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie Newman. Carrie, you're on mute.
Oh, got to unmute twice. Good evening. Kerry Newman, 753 Forest Lakes Drive. Regarding the lots in question on Little Bear, and I'm assuming that all three of those lots that are currently deeded to Forest Lakes will be put up eventually for sale if agreed upon. But it would, and perhaps this has already been taken into consideration, but there's a residence at 180 Little Bear, the Stanton residence, which is outside of Forest Lakes. And it's clear that the only access they have into their residence is from 158 Little Bear, which is one of the Metro District lots. And then the road goes down through 182 Little Bear. How would the sale of these lots into private lands affect access to those residents at 180 Little Bear Drive?
Yeah, that's all something we'll have to consider if we do agree to sell these lots.
They have an easement,
right? That road to 180 Little Bear has a dedicated easement for that road.
So if you were to sell,
they would have to. I'm sorry, Kerry, go ahead.
Well, so 182 Little Bear, if that one were to be sold, it would be sold minus the easement.
No, the easement is tied to the property. That would be, those easements would be disclosed on the disclosure and the deed and all that good stuff.
Well, that could certainly affect the viability of both of those lots for sale. Thank you. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else online? No?
Roy Westbrook, 194 Little Bear Lane. I guess I'm the guy who brought all this to fruition, so sorry. You know, I wanted to purchase this, you know, because I got online to look at my property boundaries. I got online to look at my property boundaries, and I was told that was Greenbelt back there, and I see addresses tagged to it. Okay. I don't want anybody building mine. I'm not asking for sewer taps. I'm not asking for water taps. I would agree with Elizabeth, that property value that you guys have there. I have talked to a realtor myself, and she thinks that the person who wrote that is grim on the 335,000. If you look at the county assessors, one of the lots is for about 51,000 on assessment, and one is about 135,000 on an assessment, which I would question because they have 95,000 of land value and $44,000 in improvement, which I would argue to what improvement was done on that property.
The motel that used to be there.
Oh. Which is no longer there, so I would consider it as no longer an improvement.
Motel. When there was a ski area here, there was a motel there.
I would strongly encourage the board, if you guys are going to sell it, to give me and Robin the opportunity to buy it before sending it out. The whole purpose of buying this, asking about buying this property, one, I didn't think it was going to come to this big, huge, like, oh, sell it, highest bidder, this, that, or the other. The whole point was to not have anybody build behind me. You know, I bought the property because I was told it was Greenbelt. I was told it could not be sold. When I got online and I start seeing that, well, it looks like it can be sold, that's when I brought this into question and came and asked. My worry is if you guys say, no, we're not going to sell it, I'm worried that I'm going to be here at every new board, every new assembly of a new board, I'm going to be in here asking the same question every single time in fear that the board is going to sell it or want to sell it or in dire need of more money and somebody's going to build behind me. That's going to lower my property value. It's going to lower her property value. And as soon as you guys sell it to somebody else, I might as well pack up and leave. So I really, really encourage that if you guys are going to sell it, that you please give me and Robin the opportunity to buy it first. But I will say that I think that the property, the value, I encourage to not be like, oh, 335,000. I really don't think that property is worth that. I think that she overdid it on her assessment of that property. Just in talking to other realtors, they seem to think she was coming in almost double of that property. I mean, if you look on the county's, I mean, that's totaling about 190,000. So we're $135,000 off, in my opinion. But like I said, I didn't mean for this to blow up into a big old thing. I just noticed something. I thought I could go in there and talk to you guys, and it was going to be like, well, no. I kind of more or less thought I was going to get shooed out the door and say, no, it can't be sold, and there's a mistake. But obviously, we're in a different situation now, and I would, like I said, really would strongly urge you to think about, if we're talking about thinking about residents and stuff, and the discussions that I've heard you guys all have tonight, and thinking about the residents, please at least think of us in terms of what kind of damage it could be if you would not sell it to us. You know, somebody could come in there and outbid us and say, no, I'll pay $600,000 for it. Well, and then it goes in there and sections it out. You could put 10, 15 homes back there. And what does that do to our sewer right now? We just had to upgrade it. Do we have the kind of infrastructure for that many more sewer taps? Do we have that kind of infrastructure for that much more water being used?
What do you want me to leave it one there?
Oh, Liz, you need to mute.
I mean, that's all I got.
Robin,
it's a little too little there. Right. I agree that if the property goes to sale, those properties that are adjacent to it ought to have the opportunity first. Also, the 160 acres, that was for evacuation route, correct? So the road itself doesn't count as potential open or green belt because that has to remain as road, right? So that wouldn't be that comes off the acreage for that 160, doesn't it?
No, it does not. That's what I thought at first, but it does not.
Okay, wasn't sure about that. As for other boards and stuff, if you look back at September of 2020, you will see that the board of that time and the attorney in those minutes stated, and I shared this with Julie and Corey, that minutes in there say lot 407, lot 409, not for sale, Greenbelt. It said it in the minutes. It was already discussed then. I wanted to buy back then and they said no. I wanted to buy when I first got here. Is it available? The answer was no. That is Greenbelt, not available. You guys come here now and say, let's sell property, let's make money. We're going to be a real estate company now. That being said, I agree with the idea of looking at all of the properties if that's the case. And then, because this is what it sounds like, you guys are in the business for making money. Thank you.
You got one more.
Sherry?
It's Carissa,
Carissa?
115 Pine Tree Drive. How are you guys? A couple years ago, we talked about lots or areas of the land that was part of the parking lot at the used to be community center. What about selling that area there? So it's, there's a little green belt, there's the little stream, and then part of the parking lot before it got to the hill. We talked about those were potential areas to sell. Does anyone remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I said.
Yeah, when they were actually doing the relocation and stuff like that, they actually brought up some of those areas as well. I have a list of like 15 different properties that, and it's under Forest Lakes, it's under, Forest Lakes Metro Forest Lakes Metro District. I mean, they have 4 different names for the properties around here.
And Corey made a list of these already and kind of designated each of them.
A lot of the properties you pull up on GIS don't say it, but a lot of the properties that district own either has a PRV station on it, a tank site on it, or is for future expansion. So there's what is that, Blue Ridge over there? There's a lot up there close to the entrance to Unit 3 that's vacant, and that's for a future tank for the expansion of Unit 3. We have a lot in Unit 3 that's landlocked that the realtor I talked to didn't go to. But I've already compiled the list, and I have the maps of district-owned properties and the ones that were deemed unusable for building, and minus the one that we didn't get a price on.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't ask for a price for any of the Greenbelt stuff.
Okay. Well, if
we have somebody else at their list.
Did you have another question?
Good question.
You have your hand raised, Liz?
Yes. Hi, Liz, Unit 3. How does disposing of FLMD assets impact financials, creditworthiness, and such?
The disposing of those 2 assets doesn't affect the district's credit, and if these properties were sold and developed, it would actually be a financial gain because those properties are still located within the district service boundary. So instead of being assessed at a vacant lot, which I could probably figure out what we would get off those properties, would be less if the district held on to those properties, we would receive less property tax revenue off those 2 lots. Now, if we were to sell them to somebody else, Robin or Roy or whatever the board decides, we would get, if they stayed vacant, we would receive about what we're getting now for property taxes, or if they were to get developed, we would receive more property tax off those properties. And if
And how would they be developed?
It would be residential. I couldn't.
It'd be up to the owner. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you
Be
But
up to the owner.
it would still be zoned residential?
Yeah, it's all residential right now, and it wouldn't change zone for a market or anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
District.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, can I just make a couple more
Yeah,
things?
a comment on.
I just wanted, be very clear that, I know that part of the board feels that this would not have an impact on the 3 properties that these lots abut. It's not just these 2. It abuts another property that's at the end of Little Bear Drive.
Kilo.
And yeah, what is their last name? Debates. Thank you. Once these are sold, the genie is out of the bottle, and people have a right to do whatever they want on those properties, which, as been stated, it can have a very negative impact on those 3 property owners. Whether you feel like I have a right to speak to this or not, I'm going to speak to it, because if these people bought their properties with Greenbelt in mind, you guys bought your properties knowing there was a road there, you thought the road was closed, you argued that it had a negative impact on your property value. That was what.
No,
we did not say that a single time. I said,
okay, maybe you two didn't. It came up a lot during that conversation. Regardless, maybe it was not you two, but it came up oftentimes. And I think as a board, we have to keep in mind, like, do the decisions we're making have a negative impact on property owners and on property values? And I think that's just part of the decision, or part of our decision making that we need to keep in mind. Because once that genie's out of the bottle, as you stated, they could put 10 residences back there. It's a lot of area, and I think that's something we need to keep in mind. And that it would be good if we're going to limit how much people can develop those properties, then that needs to be part of this decision making of the money that it's going to bring to Forest Lakes also. So I think we need to have a really clear idea of what those numbers are if we're limiting the use of those properties.
And so if the district or board, sorry, not district, the board chooses not to sell those properties, another thing that we can do is tie it to the resolution for the 160 acres to have it designated as Greenbelt, and it could be sold at the voters'
pleasure.
The 3 of them?
2.
Just you for your recognition, or just
that lot we can't sell because
the one on the plane, 408, yeah, that's all. We can't sell that one.
That has our ditch inlet to the pond, and it's also a road.
In 407 or the other one?
Those are the ones that if combined, realtor said estimated.
Those were 409 and 407.
Yes, and then 408 is the one we can't sell because it's a flood overflow place.
Yeah, so
and that's the one that includes the road to the
ditch. That's the ditch inlet, and also the spillway if the lake is too full.
Lie within that one.
Right.
So that lot can't be sold.
So I think Stephanie and Robin both made good points of, I think we should evaluate every single property we have. I think if there's any use for them, I'm all for keeping them. I think we need our parks. That's in our service plan. We need to maintain green spaces. It's in our service plan. I don't believe in government owning land because past government owned land. Greenbelt has pretty specific rules on it, and it's not actually a protected zone. the board can switch it. And I feel like exchanging 6 acres, I'm sorry if it disadvantages you, but because I've heard higher than that from real estate people I've talked to. And she referenced a nearby property that was smaller that sold for that. So I just don't, I think that's one of the most valuable properties in Forest Lakes given its size. I struggle to say the good of the community is upheld by that. And I get it's going to affect your property's values slightly. And
It could go either way. Property value could go up.
yeah, I struggle to. There's 900 homes here. The dam, that's where I think if we tie it still to a green oriented projects, like fixing the lake, that just to me is a better usage, and we get the tax revenue on the backside from the purchaser, which I have no issue with it going to you guys. I think personally it should be an auction, but I think those are the type of things we would want to discuss if we proceed.
Yep.
I have a comment as well. The property belongs to the district, all of the residents of the district.
Mm-hmm.
What we've learned is that we are not bound to old HOA restrictions, and that the property is available, can be made available for sale. I'd love for you guys to get the property. I also insist, from my point of view, that the district get the value of the property if it's sold. That the idea of bringing in an appraiser and the 3 realtors will iron out as best as we can the value of that property, and to sell it for a bargain price to neighbors is a huge impact on the rest of the neighbors in the district who own that land, together own that land and pay for it. So everything is fine until we get to the price. If we decide to sell the property, and we're not under any obligation to do that, period, end of story. But if we decide to sell it and you guys want to buy it for market value. Mm-hmm. You asked us very specifically to sell it for what it may be less than market value. Somebody, a professional, has told us their idea of what the market value is. We've committed to the concept of actually finding out the market value. You want to buy it for market value, by all means do. And I would love to see you do that. I have an open lot right next to me. I'd love to buy if I could afford it, but I can't. So I'll have to deal with the fact that somebody might build a home there. You're in the same boat. I ask only that you respect the fact that the district's obligation to district residents is to get the value of that property when it's sold. After that, I don't care who buys it. It'd be great if you bought it. I understand your motive.
Hey.
Yeah, we were. Or is it?
Yeah.
I just want to say, I'm not saying that it's worthless. You guys went and got a professional opinion. Well, I talked to a very respected realtor in this area and got their opinion. So that's where I'm saying. I'm not saying that it is worth less, $335,000. But that's I'm saying that is one realtor's opinion, and I've talked to a very, like I said, very well-known realtor in this area, and they gave me their opinion on what they felt that the property was worth. So I'm not discounting you on that. I'm not trying to get property at a bargain. I'm just simply stating I've done some of my own homework as well.
Okay.
I get that and respect it, and I think we're on the same page here. I have no way to make an evaluation of the value of that property. That's where the appraiser and the three other realtors come into play. And again, assuming that we decide to sell it. Yeah, if we don't decide to sell it or decide not to sell it, is another way to put it. Yeah, so you're gonna be back here board after board after board, trying to make sure that it stays green space.
The realtor said 188, the realtor I talked to said 188 Little Bear ranges approximately between 59,000 and 64,000. 182 Little Bear is approximately 175,000. This realtor believes if we were to sell it as a combined lot is where we get that 335,000. I just want to make that statement clear.
Yeah.
Not 335,000 for the one lot.
Right.
This isn't a suggestion, it's just a question. Can we put deed restrictions on the property as one of the things to consider? Not that we actually demand to do it, but when we get the property evaluated in terms of what we should be charging for it, if we put deed restrictions saying you can't subdivide it, and it's single homes on these two big lots, it certainly changes the story for you guys. It probably reduces the value of the property.
That's an avenue to.
So it's another consideration we could put into the mix.
But wouldn't that be county land use code under a certain amount of acres, above a certain amount of acres, whether you can subdivide or not?
I don't have an answer
really
to
put in
that.
there to sell it.
You can deed restrict anything pretty much. It's just a legal process. But to your thing, I don't know the answer to your question.
Okay.
The idea of tabling, but
Yeah, we're gonna
when do we come back to this?
table this. Corey's gonna get some more information for us, and we'll bring it back to June, July, somewhere. If not,
It won't be sold before then, so.
no.
What information do you want?
The three realtors, I would think, of their assessment of property, like you just got from. So you already have one.
So I don't know that other realtors will do that because without going into a contract, but I'll reach out. This was done as a favor.
If we're gonna do that, I think we should have somebody giving us values for all of the properties that could possibly be sold. I mean, rather than.
Then the board needs to decide if we want to go with.
But do we want
an appraiser or a realtor?
Okay, well, I don't think we're gonna solve this tonight, so.
You said property designation, right?
Yeah.
Was one of the earlier statements as well. Property designation, sorry. Right? That was mentioned earlier too.
Yeah, designate all the property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think come back with a sheet of all the properties, what their use is.
Right.
And if we have an estimated value for them or not. I think it's just those two. There's, I think, one other we might. But having an understanding and approaching it holistically, I think.
And you have a map that shows all of them.
I think that information should be given to every board member.
Do you want a realtor to price it, or do you want an appraiser to price it?
What does
we should have an appraiser.
What does an appraiser cost?
I haven't bought a house in a minute, so
probably $900 per lot. Probably going to be about $900 a lot, possibly.
And that's a contract, which is got to be approved by the board.
Why don't we just start with what properties are around Forest Lakes? Because I had no idea until you brought this up that we even had property like that.
And this value from the assessor's office value?
We could start with
That's
that.
fine, and then if we can get what a cost of an appraiser is, if it is.
I do think it's a spurious number. It's really, I know what my house is assessed at and what it would sell for. So it's like the two numbers don't have any relationship to one another other than they're relatively similar. If it goes up in both. But yeah, appraiser will tell you what the thing is worth. The assessed value will tell you nothing.
I guess my gut for me is like we shouldn't put the money into having property appraised when we haven't even made the decision if we're going to sell properties.
Right.
But the pushback seems to be, well, they might not be worth much to a degree. So how do you rectify that if you can't find out what they're worth?
If the board as a whole wants to pay to have appraisers done, that's one thing. But I don't think we're at the place that we can't even decide if we want to start selling our properties because we don't know what the properties are. And I think that's a better place to start than starting with paying an appraiser to value properties that we may decide, no, we don't want to sell.
Right.
I agree with that. I do think we need to send Corey away with a to-do list that he can achieve between now and the time we reconvene on this subject. And so setting the value is not one of the things we can do.
Yeah. So I think list of the properties, what an appraiser costs, rough, and again, list of the properties with details on what their usage, future use, current use, any details like that.
So properties, usage, and appraiser cost.
Yeah, so we don't want to bring bad information in if the assessed value isn't meaningful.
And I propose that we do this for July. If we have to, we could push it off to August because he's got a lot of stuff on his plate right now that he needs to deal with.
Yeah, and just to go back to your point about what the assessor says, that's like what the current use is. An appraiser's going to look at the highest and best value. So they're going to be very, very different numbers.
So July, August, you need plenty of time to do this. You've got a lot of other stuff going on. You don't have to commit to July if you feel August is better. Yeah.
Be able to have.
Okay, so let's finalize that. We're going to table it with what we just talked about. The update on the wastewater.
Yep. So in your packet, you'll see Mark and I have been looking at.
Thanks for coming.
This package plan to help with the ammonia violation. Come to find out, Mark and I have done nothing but waste our time because in our survey that we just had, ROM was considered a administratively extended permit for our wastewater.
Did you say that last bit again? I didn't quite follow it.
Administratively extended permit.
Okay.
So the district has not been issued a new discharge permit for our Pure Lagoon since 2013. And being under an administrative extension, we're not allowed to make any process changes like adding in secondary treatment that would help curtail that ammonia violation we keep getting in the winter. So,
wow.
Speaking with the inspector, he is going to try to push us getting a new permit and fixing our permit. Because it was one of the things that I brought up to him back in 2013 when they sent that permit over for review. The person that reviewed it did not do his job. He should have looked at those numbers and realized, well, these limits for our monthlies are never going to add up to our 2-year rolling average. So the district kind of shot itself in the foot with these violations that we're getting because of that. And the fact nobody's pushed, getting our permit updated or getting a new discharge permit issued to us. Mark and I both are pushing it, and the inspector that came down is gonna push it on his end with his bosses. So if we can get a new permit issued with the changes in the ammonia, we'll stop getting the ammonia violations.
How long are those permits? Like normally,
That's supposed to be every
10 years, every year, and ours is 2013.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be honest.
Perhaps goes without saying, but the standards that we can meet right now are better than the standards we must meet if we file the permit properly. Did I say that clearly?
I get what you're saying. We don't get to dictate the permit that's issued to us. The state gives us this permit to review, and then we can question them on it. This doesn't make sense. And then if we have enough reasoning that outweighs the state engineers, they'll adjust the permit. We don't get to say you must fix this. The state says, here's your permit, review it. We say, we're not gonna, this is unrealistic. And the state can take that under advisement, fix it, or say, upgrade your plan.
So, can of worms gets opened. What are our chances that we end up regretting it? I assume you and Mark have considered this thoroughly, and
the can of worms are already open because we're receiving these violations. This was a step that we were trying to take to stop receiving those violations. And we may not get issued a new permit because they're still working on the new Reg 85 stuff, the whole nutrient. So we can still keep getting these violations, and they're not. I should say, should not fine us. But each one of these events is a $64,000 fine per day we're in violation.
64,000?
Yes.
Oh.
They haven't fined us yet because Mark and I are doing our due diligence and like, this is what we're doing. We're trying to fix this problem. We're looking at this plan, and then out of the survey, you know, I sent all this information with our inspector. Like, this is what we're looking at. Can you do something? But our hands are tied by the state, and we're also getting slapped by the state.
Because of past administrations not doing their job, which seems to be a recurring theme, which what I was going to make is that the point has been raised, not just.
Well, I wouldn't say not doing their job. Most district managers that are in this position don't have the water and wastewater experience that I do, or Mark, who's taken over from previous operators down there. And I can't speak to the past operators, but whoever was reviewing that permit did not have enough knowledge to understand what they were looking at, in my opinion.
And that's the point I'm trying to make is I feel like we shoot ourselves in the foot has come up in most meetings for the year on the board. It was a large reason why I joined the board, or like did all like is that I think the view throughout the community is we don't do what we're supposed to do a lot. I think we do more than people realize, but I think there are places we've messed up royally in the past, and it just I don't know that.
And if we can get something like this approved by the state to allow us to do this, the cool thing about this is we can add to the process.
Yeah.
Another.
Oh, and I think
another
you're doing a great job of getting us back.
Another container, so eventually we're at pretty much a full mechanical plant.
Yeah.
That's not costing us, $20 million. This is
600.
I have a couple questions. it's a smaller company. How did you guys find out about this company?
Conference I was at.
Okay. And they,
The CRWA conference I was at is where I sat in on one of these sessions. I'm like, sweet, and they've just got approved to operate in Colorado.
so the one that they referenced is something that was in California, which is a warm temperature. How do we keep our optimal temp range with the bacteria and everything here?
These also operate in colder environments.
Do we know where in California this
I have
is?
no
I
idea.
mean, Northern California is pretty dang cold.
Is that where it is?
I don't know. That I'm just
But
being
they-
devil's advocate. We don't know that it's in a warm part of.
The blowers that they use on this blows in warm air. It helps. To really keep our fuel where it needs to be, it's going to have to go into a enclosed structure.
How many plants like this are around? Do you know?
Oh,
Them or other companies?
well, there's not a whole lot around here because they just got approved not too long ago to work here, but they are in several different areas, states.
Are there other companies that have similar systems like that?
I'm sure there is. I ain't suggesting that these are the folks we go with. I was just showing you what we're looking
Right.
at.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool if we could see, like, somebody could give us go through something like this, like on a Zoom during some executive session or something, because it is kind of such a totally different thing than what we see over there.
But I am going to say right now, we just need to pump the brakes until
we see what
the state says we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get tickets to California to look at it.
Yeah, let's go look at some poop.
But that would, yeah.
Because they could change our ammonia limits potentially, or they're going to leave them the same and say, this is a great idea, do this.
So by this being, they're now in Colorado, being able to do this in Colorado, that means Colorado has approved this type of a system as a long-term solution.
Yes.
And it's expandable, that could basically maybe eventually take over.
So in 2023, when we get some stricter nutrient removal requirements, we can add separate trains.
Yeah. Okay.
The yearly contract, maintenance contract, they do all that kind of stuff.
No, all the maintenance and operation of that would be on us. Now, there is a 1-year warranty for, getting it, all that, but just like any other wastewater plant, there's not a yearly maintenance. That's all done by our operators, like changing out the media and fixing broken pipes and things. But certain things will be covered under that 1-year warranty or whatever.
I think your 1 hour is done.
But like you said, like even if it's not this company, this might take us down a path to find another company, another product. It's a good direction.
Agreed.
Yeah, it looks great.
Kind of exciting.
So yeah, good luck with Colorado.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else want to ask Corey a question? Anybody have public comments? Online? No? All right, Robin? No? No. All right, let's move on to placement of the member on the road safety committee. We had a gentleman that cannot commit to the committee because of his travels and with work. So we need to find another member. And I went through all of what Corey attached here, and Max was from Unit 1, so I'm recommending that we find another person from Unit 1 to replace him, which would be Peter Cardwell or Doug Savage. That's on page 117 or 119 if you're on your computer.
As the person on The road safety committee, who's your recommendation?
Which one?
Yeah.
Peter Cardwell. They both were good, but I just liked Peter and what he's done and his travels with CDL training and highway roads. Teaching safe driving practices.
I'm good at that. I feel like you've got your ear much closer to the ground than this than any of us.
All right.
But that's yeah, reading through that does seem good.
No opinions?
Support your decision.
Okay.
I don't know either one, but like you said,
and I don't know if they're still interested. I need to reach out to them. And
he has a good resume behind his. I don't know either one personally.
Yeah. Don't either.
But he's got a good resume.
Yeah.
Agree.
Looking at the email.
Okay. Well, I'll reach out to him, and if he says, nope, sorry, don't want to do it anymore, then we can reach out to
Do we want to? Yeah, because we have Gwen also, right?
Gwen is already on.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
correct.
he's on. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Okay.
Okay. Any comments from the public? No? We're going to move on to committee reports. Budget committee?
No report.
Nothing from me either. Recreation committee?
Not this time.
Did you get anybody, Corey, or should we open this up kind of like what we did with the road committee? Because you had written to all the people and said, hey, are you still interested?
We did, and speaking of the rec committee, there was I don't remember 3 or 4 that were on it. I honestly don't have time to get that up and moving. I don't know if the rec committee wants me to give you those emails to kind of take that on, or it's gonna be sitting for a minute.
I would be okay to look through the responses we got if you got people that
I reached out an email and I believe 3 of the 5 responded, but they were still wanted to be on.
Okay.
From the previous committee?
From the previous committee. And I think that should be more
than enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
I'm fine if there's a night you want to meet with those 3. I'm fine with this.
Yeah. Can you just email those to both of us and then we can coordinate our schedules?
Okay.
These couple of months are gonna be chaos.
Yeah, mine are kind of chaotic too.
Tell me about it.
Okay.
Do we have to
personnel
say
committee?
Really? Rather not.
No.
Personnel thing, I don't think we updated last month on last meetings.
Yep, nothing.
We're good.
Looking forward to seeing the new policies that you're coming up with. Road safety committee. We went to the wildfire mitigation, had a great time doing the signs, and the kids enjoyed it, and even the parents and adults enjoyed it. We wanted to create a Facebook page for the road safety committee, which we would put out as a link on Facebook next door. And Shauna said that she would put it out on our Facebook for Forest Lake, just to get it out so people could follow it. And I just want to make sure that everybody on the board is good with some kind of another social media page. Any concerns with that? What we would do is give, like we have here, we want to say first message, this is a recap of what we did. This is what the road committee is all about. Just try to get people aware of road safety.
Who's gonna be taking care of that?
Okay. I volunteered. Second message, do you feel speeding is an issue in Forest Lakes? What would you like to see change? Just kind of have it open-ended. People will maybe give input. Third message, at a stop sign, did you know that going up the hill, you have the right of way per Colorado state law? And I've got to confirm that CRS number. Daryl brought that up and said, I bet you a lot of people don't know that because people coming down a dirt road or iced road may not be able to stop. So we have the right of way. That's what he said. Do you know anything about that?
That's news to me. I know that's the case in the boonies. If you're four-wheeling and stuff, that right-of-way standard exists. I did not realize. I'd like the citation for that because.
Yeah, I've got to look that one up and make sure and put the link in there and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Daryl is looking into license plate readers for speeding. He has a grant for one and he's looking for a grant for another. So right now, La Plata County is ticketing in Durango.
Durango city limits.
Durango is,
Yeah.
not the sheriff's.
What did I say? Oh, Durango is ticketing.
And the sheriff will not.
Huh?
And the sheriff will not.
Here.
Will not, the sheriff, anywhere, the Plata County Sheriff's Department will not issue tickets off the LPRs. And I have the email proof to back it up. And I have asked them for a memo so I can put it in the board packet, but they have not given me a memo yet.
All right. Well, we need to bring this to the board and district manager for approval. We don't need to do. And working really nicely. We're all working very well together. And the next thing that we're discussing is the bus stop. So everybody's got all that information.
For the road safety committee about the bus stop, the district has no power of where it is located. That is all done by the director of transportation for the school district.
Yep. And Daryl mentioned that, and he said we need to have a conversation with you and the director and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion for the committee, or maybe just for you, is I have no problems with the crossover and the bus stop. The stop sign to govern that intersection is ludicrously far away.
Yeah.
Is it possible to put a stop sign on the end of the partition or the Armco that?
Yes, and
I'm not sure the adherence will be any better, but.
And you'll be glad to know that conversation's already taken place.
Oh, cool.
All right.
I've never seen anybody other than me stop there. He might stop.
Yeah, I stopped it.
I stopped.
But yeah.
I've yelled at my wife, I've yelled at my son, I've yelled at a couple of
Yeah,
people.
that, the placement of that stop sign was done before
late on Saturday night after somebody got married.
well, before the school district asked for the barriers.
All right. That's road safety committee. Anybody have comments online? Okay, request for future agenda items. Anybody have anything right now? No. We are going to adjourn at 9:42. Thank you, everybody.